Hello, ZSR, and welcome to another exciting Crosskeys race. This is a round 7 Swiss match between Vixryder and Professor Renderer. Try saying his name 10 times fast. This is a 1 in 5 matchup, so neither of these players are in bracket contention. But we're expecting a pretty interesting match. You get late in Swiss and you tend to have pretty even matchups. I'm joined here with my fellow commentator and also fellow tourney admin, Scary Olive. How are you doing today, Olive?
I'm doing good, thank you for asking, and yes, very happy to see that match get broadcast. You know, even if you don't have the greatest win rate in the world, it doesn't mean we can have a good race between two runners of the same skill level, and I think it's going to be a great one tonight.
Yeah, I know Professor Renderer has done quite a bit of volunteering across the community. I'm somewhat less familiar with Vixryder, but I am looking forward to finding out what's there.
Yeah. Pretty much the same. Professor Renderer for sure. We've known him before, but doesn't. I think it's gonna be great. And yeah, this week 7, so we're deep in the tournament, and both have a different starting point.
Yeah, I am already on Vixryder's side for 2 reasons. 1, I prefer Sang Start. For 2, I am kind of actively rooting against those palettes that Professor Renderer is using, but this randomizer does let you make all your own bad aesthetic choices if that's your preference.
Yeah. There are a lot of thing you can change when you play: the music, the sprite, the colors. Yeah, the color, I feel it's a rough one sometimes. The newer palette change was softer for the eyes, but sometimes the green water, is it like sewage? We'll never know.
Well, even if Professor Renderer's, I'm gonna get tongue-tied on that name so much, I'm not even just gonna pretend about it. Screen does like it's covered in sewage. We noticed that Sanctuary is actually in what I think most players would agree is the least favorable to the player location in the Uncle Drop. So we have very bad save warps. That's going to put a huge emphasis in this seed on careful routing so you avoid long backtracks. Because anywhere that's not right around the center of the world is a long backtrack. You're also really hoping when you rescue the old man that it's going to be a good save and quit, because you just don't have one right now.
Yeah, the best one is for sure, like, if it's near Kakariko, it can be like the Smiths, I guess, the drop down, the bat. But this one, the Uncle, there is really no saving. You go once there and you never use it again. And if the Darkwood access is also like very deeply very complicated to get, there's gonna be a lot of walking around from Link's house.
The other way to look at this is you could argue that a seed like this just puts a little bit of an extra premium on finding that flute as early as possible, because a lot of navigation problems can be absolved with the flute. And speaking of navigation and backtracking, Vix has gone to Sahas, discovered Sahas Vanilla, and has no bombs. This is the huge risk of heading over to the eastern area with no bombs, is you can find something like Sahas or Agana's Cave or something, Chicken Hut, and you just can't deal with it.
Yeah, it's a big pain. Finding the bombs early is always what you want, but even like Vixryder doesn't even have a... Like, he can't even do it. No, this is a big problem right now, and he doesn't have the money. If we would find a bomb shop, he doesn't have the money, so the start from Professor is a little bit better, because when even if he finds a shop, he can at least buy the bombs with the Ulian play.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if we see Professor Renderer notice the extreme lack of bombs and just head for the bomb bushes near CAC. You don't like walking through all those dead screens, but CAC's high density, and you're guaranteed a couple bombs doing that. Yeah. You might have to reset it a couple times, but it'll work out. Speaking of that old man save and quit, we have located it at Flute 5, which wouldn't have been my first choice of where it could be, but it's what we got.
Yeah. So even when it'll get accessible, it won't very be of big use, because it's farther away from everything except I guess Eastern and South Rolla. Maybe when you get Dark Road access, it's a fast way to the warp point.
Yeah, if you get the Pearl Glove Hammer, it's not a useless warp point, but it's not preferred.
No.
Oh, we do see, though, the back of the old man is the Kakariko gambling house. So that's not bad at all. It's a little bit more of a walk to go to the back. You get a couple screen transitions every time, but being dumped on the fringes of CAC, you can work with it.
Yeah. Totally. And now both our runner is going to enter Kakariko around the same time. One runner has money, the other one no money. So we'll see if we can find a bomb shop soon. Oh, Turtle Rock.
You can this is something I think a lot of players don't realize because that entrance is so scary, but there is a guaranteed bomb in one of those pots.
Yeah.
And that could be a really big play, but I don't know if... Well, it's probably not out of fear. You respawn if you die there. Most players are probably just unaware of it.
Yeah, there's no problem. If you die, you just lose like a few seconds, but you respawn right there, so...
And we observe Vixryder making an infinite increase to his money supply by finding a green rupee going from 0 to 1.
Yeah, well, that's the start. You gotta start somewhere. He's 49 away. Now he gets the bomb shop, but cannot get himself some bomb. And also, we might have a problem for the bottle vendor, which requires like $100. So he's unlucky here with the bomb drop in the bush. It was there's a bush in one of the bushes. Vixryder tried to open that has a 50-50 chance. Normally, if you can get one and then open the door of the little barn, it's easy to respawn. But now it's super far away, so it's... Oh, there's a bomb and a back. This is also a good one to farm bombs. No!
Whoa. That's... It's not only bombs, it also fills up your magic meter.
Yeah.
And early magic can be more important than you would think, because you find a useful item like the fire rod or the cane, and it's not actually useful if you don't have any magic to spend.
Yeah, that's very true. The magic sometimes can be very hard to refill earlier in the game. Later, you have to have magic and you beat bosses and you can get potions and stuff, but earlier in the run, sometimes it's really hard and you have to go do a mini Moldrum cave, and bombs are precious. Okay, we can use like you said, fire rod or Burna, Somaria, anyone like here in GT. If you have Somaria, you can go do the tile room, but you cannot if you don't have magic to do it.
And speaking of this GT, this is one of the first actually valuable things we found anywhere in CAC. This has been a very barren Kakariko, which usually speaks to a rougher seed too, because Kakariko is by far the greatest concentration of entrances in the world. Nowhere else has even half as many. So if Kakariko's pretty barren, it really pumps up the odds that a lot of value is crammed into those super blocked late game entrances.
Yeah, I mean, the mountain also has a lot, but maybe it's not as much, for sure. Oh man, that's painful. Second bomb, still no money. A lot of shops. Oh, and another shop.
I'd also really like to give some shout-outs to the blue males slowing down death orbs for both players.
Well, it's still. I'm still. I mean, you're still happy to see it. Oh, and that's big.
So, in all honesty, if that was going to be a significant progression item, I think Fire Rod's one of the better things from Vix's perspective it could be. Because what are you likely to find this early that it's going to be really punishing not to have the Fire Rod now instead of 10 minutes from now? It's probably not very much, right?
It could be, Ice Palace with the Moon Pearl in the first room of the Pengator. That could hurt, but otherwise you're true. It's true that there's not a lot of requirements that are not very far in the seed, like, Turtle Rock boss or the entrance in Skullwoods. It's far away. And the dark rooms, I don't think it really matters that much, the Fire Rod for the dark rooms at this point. So let's see, are we gonna get some magic here? Yes, okay. Well, for me, I would be still happy to get my fire rod faster than later, you know?
Well, yeah, you always prefer to have progression items instead of not, but compared to that being a glove, a hammer, a moon pearl, this is relatively less bad.
Yeah. One of the great things about it is it kills most enemy in one shot, so if you want to go in a turtle rock, you know, with the laser, and then you go to the room where the pokey has a... There's not even a good option to farm money here with the bush crab giving 1. But yeah, if you want to kill the pokey with 1, you can. Otherwise with bomb it would be like 9 bombs, I don't know.
I'm not gonna lie, if I were Vixryder, I still would have checked this entrance and the other one. I would have farmed 1s to get to 50 off bush crabs if I had nothing else.
Yeah. Well, now he's got 63, okay, so...
that is enough to buy bombs, and there were at least 2 bomb shops in CAC, so... We're moving forward.
Oh,
there's more fun news. We have Aga 1 blocking the well.
Yep.
The good thing about that is that the well is so many items that you don't feel bad fighting Aga 1. It's a lot scarier when it's blocking a mystery key or it's blocking the magic bat, because then you really don't want to do it. You know that's your last location no matter what.
Yeah. It's still bad. Like you always love to see like the useless thing here, or at least, or maybe not Ganon, but now you know that you'll need two of the keys, and maybe do Aga.
Hey, I think in more than half of my tournament races in this tournament, Ganon's been right there. I have the Ganon magnetism for Aga 1.
Yeah, but Ganon, it's not that bad either because you know both players have to do it. Okay, but now if you gamble on like doing Aga for 4 chests and there's nothing there, that feels very bad. We need the gloves for 1 small key.
And we know it's not the Hera key, so that's something.
All the information. So yeah, Ganon it has to be on the pyramid right now, right?
Yeah, we have a lot of signs pointing to a longer seed here, irrespective of our players' records or anything, because we have Aga 2 hard required, Aga 1 blocking the well, a relatively barren CAC. We found very few progression items. That Fire Rod's really the only find to note. A little interesting, it came paired with an Ice Palace small key, but it's still not enough to really make me read much into it.
Yeah. And Vixryder goes for the Ulian after getting there all the way from Link's house by foot. And now that's cool. Way to keep the route going without saving Squid where you are.
I do think it's interesting seeing Vixryder going south here. Vixryder knows where Sahas and Mini Moldorm Cave are, and now has a 10 stack of bombs.
Yeah. That's 8 items. I'm gonna put that. What we just saw? There was a. Oh, it was a Smith's. Yeah. Okay.
I'm gonna be honest about my analysis of this decision. I think Vixryder isn't feeling super confident about doing Mini Moldorm Cave with bombs. I can't think of another clear reason that, because there's no way you expect to get 8 items worth of value checking new entrances.
Yeah, it can be a little bit rough only with bombs. It takes at least 3 in my, maybe 4, and but now he's got money to buy more bombs. But considering he's got to use 1 also to bomb the backer, so maybe he's waiting for a sword or more bombs. So I don't know. We'll see.
On the other side, Professor Renderer is making. This is a very uncommon play. Yeah. I actually think this can be a good sort of gamble play. Checking the Ice Rod Cave area early without a glove. There's nothing logically that prevents this from being important. But, man, this can be just a really long walk for nothing so easily.
Yeah, and then when you get the gloves, you are least interested to go there because it's only 1 extra entrance. So if you can wait a little bit and get your gloves and do all 3, or even if you're like super the route goes very well for you, you could like put it like with the Dark World one and Mirror. But yeah. Now we found like a desert entrance, which means it's a chest and 2 more entrance. So, but I think he's gonna exit and check the second entrance first before.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say I'm not a huge fan of this general routing there of walking into desert to check the chest and then coming back to check this other cave.
Yeah. Oh, and not even.
I feel like if you find desert there after that long walk, you really want to check the connector, but Professor Renderer pretty much worked himself into a position where he had to do that save and quit. There was just not another good viable choice.
Yeah, because what if the mountain is accessible only by this? Oh, okay, very nice back of the old man here, the lamp, and the first weapon for Vixryder, and so it might help him go towards Minimal Dorm.
Actually, a little surprising that both players didn't beeline that as soon as there was a save and quit with bombs. Mm-hmm. But Vixryder definitely getting rewarded. When you have absolutely nothing, I don't know that the lamp is so much important as it makes life so much easier. Dark caves with nothing are really rude.
Yeah. And I mean, depending on the skill level, sometimes the of course when you watch like. Lin and Dataplet, they know all their dark caves pretty easily, but newer runners or less experienced runners sometimes you don't know all the you know the one in NMG like the old man or whatever, but sometimes you don't know all the differences between the dark caves. So even for myself, I don't know them all. I'm not that good in Crosskeys, but so I'm always happy to find the lamp because it helps with the connectors. Also, when you have 3 hearts, just very nice. Oh, a bow, very nice.
I also would throw out there that lamp combined with, well, or the fire rod for that matter, combined with the big key to Desert Palace. If you find back a desert, it is an option on the table to just kill Landmole. It's not in logic without the small key, but you're not really that worried about that.
Yeah.
Oh, even better, we've already found back a desert. Thank you, Toffel. It's always good to have trackers keeping track of things. Somehow that makes perfect sense.
So that's in logic. I mean, like, well, we don't have the small key, but we can still go do it with the fire and the big key. It's gonna be better for Vixryder. Hasn't found the front of the desert, but when he do, we can check the big chest also.
Actually, Renderer might be funneled into doing back at desert because Renderer is gonna find the old man save and quit at Flute 5. We'll probably just walk through to the back. We'll get dumped out in CAC, and that's when you shrug your shoulders and say, "I guess I'm just killing Landmo, right?"
Yeah. Oh, okay. We're doing. So it would have been not that bad to do the minimal dorm with the bombs because you would have been getting 3 bombs for each one you kill.
I don't think I knew that the blue cane doesn't turn itself off when you walk into a pit with it. I don't think I've ever seen that before, actually.
And how many years have you been playing this game?
Since I was a very small child.
So yeah, every day, something new to learn. I probably fell in a pit before, like on Laser Bridge, using the Burna. And where are we going? So yeah, I think that's right. That Renderer is gonna get back into CAC here, and probably goes to Desert right here. You go kill the boss. It's gonna be fast with the Fire Rod and this. You have still also the bow is pretty good against Landmolas. So.
This is a little bit spooky because given that you have to light those 2 torches, you're only going to be allowed to miss 1 fire rod shot if you're super careful with your ammo and, all the pickups available. You'll have a few arrows, but not a great number. Not enough to kill a Landmolus with. it's going to be tricky.
Yeah.
And Vix does go pick up that Fire Rod. I don't think Vix lost anything at all as it worked out for not having that Fire Rod early.
Yeah, it kind of worked out. And now we find a dark connector, and made with the without a sword, this is like it's a problem. Like doing it in the dark, you have to shoot bow or. So now that's, and where is it gonna lead us? Oh, well, we don't have the Moon Pearl, so can't really do anything here, but that's a nice connector for the future.
Yeah, that's more of a long-term big deal than a short-term big deal, in that you're often not too eager to go back and check unknown dark connectors, and that pretty much just means Vix knows how to get to the Mire region. And, oh, this is going to be tough for Renderer. Renderer has 7 arrows and 8 bombs to kill 1 Landmalus. That's very doable, but you aren't allowed to miss a lot, and you're going to have to use the bombs, which it's not something I think many players have practiced. Oh, or you can just be accurate. Let me pull my foot out of my mouth while Professor Renderer pulls a crystal into his pocket.
That's a very nice fight with the equipment he had. Great use, and yeah, he still had bombs, so he was still. Bombs they're slow, but they can still do the work. And the first crystal, 20 minutes in, that's very nice.
I would like to point out that desert big key, and we've seen on Renderer's side the left door of desert. To me, that's a very suspicious area.
Yeah. While Professor was doing the desert boss fight, Vixryder found a very interesting connector that it's from the Mire area. He found like the Paradox Cave, which when we'll have the Moon Pearl, we'll get to give us like 7 items, which is always nice. Unfortunately, he tried to get to an entrance. Maybe sometime if it's in logic to go in the Dark World without a Moon Pearl, get the entrance, exit in Light World and come back in, but the entrance he found was Ganon's Tower, and that's definitely closed, so maybe the third exit could be Light World, but then that's out of logic after that because you need a cheat with the mirror that's not in logic to get back in, so definitely needs the Moon Pearl for these items.
Professor Renderer showing us 2 things. One of them is that the bug net cannot hit crystal switches. The other is that the Skullwood's big key is behind, logically at least, all 4 of the Turtle Rock small keys. So I'm going to make a wild prediction that the Skullwood's big chest is going to have garbage in it.
I won't do any bet, and I trust you. I mean, I'm so happy that you're here with me. As being the creator of the logic of the entrance randomizer, all the stuff that it's too much for me, and that's good to know. I mean,
yeah, one of the sort of tricks to suss out key logic for anyone who I guess is a little less familiar is just kind of look at where the doors are in the dungeon and ask yourself, what is the single worst way I could open these doors?
Yeah.
For a door that just leads to one chest and you can otherwise just go around it, that inevitably is behind all the keys because you could just open every other door first.
Very true. Yeah, we got a death at the Chain Chomp. The Chain Chomps, they do a lot of damage, even with the Blue Mail, so we're gonna have to go back. But if it takes another death here, it starts to pile up, the time loss. And meanwhile, Vixryder back in, it's his first time in desert, and I like it the way he did it more, where if you check the second one first, now he won't probably have to go, he can check another exit, and you can also open the big chest. You can open the big chest, but he's not doing it, but he could. Oh! The mirror for Renderer. It's a pretty big find.
Yeah, I don't foresee Vix going back for that soon either, because that's not only in a really inconvenient spot on the overworld, but Vix has just been in that area and elected not to go in, so that mirror could be a big issue, especially you see this Desert Right connector. That's a really good place to find if you did have the mirror, because you can just drop down, get the race game and the entrance, you can get the South of Grove entrance. Really, that might be the Village of Outcasts might be the best place to be dropped with mirror here.
Yep. And even the mirror, if you're doing like some bunny walking shenanigans, you can always, get the glitch with the mirror where you can open the chest at least. So it really helps for that. Also, making less double dips on the overworld. And yeah, it's like the chain jump from the laser eye when you're like early in the game. Sometimes it's a decision like, okay, I don't have a key, I'm gonna have a hard time getting the pokey. But now with the fire rod, I think you can really kill it easily. But now the problem is Vix used all his magic for getting the mini Modorm. With this Burna, and until he kills a boss, there will not be any magic refill, and that even means maybe that's why also he's not going back to kill the Lanmolas yet.
The Vix should be able to clear out all of Escape here, because even if you ignore the magic, 9 arrows is plenty to go down and get the chest in Zelda Cell.
Yeah, and the tracker Tofile says that yes, there's a magic refill next to Lanmolas, which is true, but the first time Vix entered the TR, he didn't get the bomb and the magic refill, so we're gonna assume he doesn't know.
So, Vix also showing off the incredible power of Skull Ropes. Fun fact, in the vanilla game, you will never encounter a Skull Rope with its proper stats. The only place the enemy appears is when you pull a lever, and due to a vanilla glitch that uses the Light World stats. But the Dark World stat Skull Ropes are actually quite strong, and you run into those stat tables in Entrance when you have Dark World Escape. Even with Blue Mail, that's a solid hard off.
Yep, and very useful for killing yourself, I guess, doing the damage boost to get back to the entrance. So, because sometimes doing the death warp with Alpha Heart ropes, it takes a long time with the Blue Mail, but now it was one and done.
And so another big little moment just happened in this race. Professor Render opened the Desert Palace big chest and just got a compass. Finding a compass usually wouldn't be a big deal, but given that Vix seemed to forget that he had a Desert Palace big key when walking by that, the fact that it's nothing is pretty important here, I think.
Yep, it means that it won't be something that will make him far behind by just forgetting it forever.
Yeah, because especially with this early mirror, if that was Pearl, I mean, that could be a half-hour advantage easily.
Yeah.
It being Compass, it's not really going to matter.
And Renderer gets to the Dark World and takes a pause to contemplate everything he can now do. And yeah, with this mirror now, he's gonna be able to do, like you said earlier, the South Grove. And
it
even
looks like Render is trying to do the Mirror Super Bunny blind here, having a little bit of difficulty with it.
Yep, it's a frame perfect trick.
Yeah, this is actually why I really prefer just walk in and check what it is and then go for the Super Bunny. With it being the castle, you don't even need the Super Bunny. Just walk in and die. Yeah,
you can die. Some of those are very hard to... like, if it's like the two chests of, the side of Mizumire, then you can spend a little bit of time trying to get it, because you don't have to lose time later and stuff. But here, trying it and failing it, it's just go for the death, and
Yeah, the thing is, Super Bunny's not even good to do here because you don't have a sword, so you actually can't kill the guards as a Super Bunny with your current equipment. You could open the chest, but you wouldn't be able to get the key to advance.
That's true, so here the Death Warp is a better state for where it really thinks you are the full link. Only thing is when you exit the dungeon, you'll be back in the state. You can't keep the fake. There's no fake Moon Pearl for the overworld. And we're checking some bunny stuff here. This is one of the things you can do as a bunny. Unfortunately, it's only a quarter heart, but at least you don't have to come back, so that's nice.
And of course, if you take what we've seen from both players in mind, Vix has found a connector through the Maya region that leads up to the Dark World Death Mountain.
Yes, and with the mirror.
Has the mirror, so between the two of them, you can clear the mountain, and just mathematically, that's probably where the pearl is.
That's true. That's a big that Ganon's Tower exit is like the top of the mountain. You can do you can't do left side but you still need the hammer. But it's still like a big part of the mountain. Oh.
If you walk out of Ganon's Tower, you can walk across the bridge in the Dark World.
True.
It's a little tricky because you have to get past those Lynels, which are not very friendly enemies in this game. I don't think Lynels are actually friendly enemies in any Zelda game they appear in.
Yeah.
But if you get through, you can just mirror on that side, and you can do the whole Eastern Mountain if that's your preference. That's
very true. So that's the complete mountain almost is for us. So probably we'll see that soon when Professor Renderer gets to the Mire area.
So Professor Renderer is choosing to chug the green potion just to use Fire Rod strats to get through this Dark Cross check.
Yeah, Renderer never went back.
It's an awful choice, but it is a pretty heavy resource investment.
Yeah. That reminds us that he still hasn't been to the back of Escape, which he can easily with 7 quit and bombs get his lamp. And the bow, what was there next to it? There was something good at the Burna. Burna is not the best, but oh, T-Stamp.
Yeah, Renderer going north instead of south here. So when I said earlier I really prefer coming out in Village of Outcasts over these other areas, the main reason is because I feel less guilty just going south and not doing all these bunny checks. I just beeline the checks that are not bunny, and it works so much cleaner, because this whole bunny walk, super bunny thing just over and over, this ends up adding up to a lot of time if you're exhaustive with it.
Yeah. Especially like if you consider later when you get the Moon Pearl, if you have the boots, it can go faster also, and all the places you'll have to come back. But sometimes, if you do some bunny walk and you find the Moon Pearl through like a series of bunny walk, it can feel very good.
Oh man, Vix getting the classic find Sankheart right before you would have to Death Warp anyway. Luckily in this case there's still not much health on the table, so it won't be too big of a deal. Zyzacs are strong, but
yeah,
just that little bit of nuisance to help you out.
If only we had the mirror, that would have been a good Sankheart, because then you have a full refill.
Renderer getting a good refill at a half a heart or less. Can't tell exactly what he was at, but it was at a maximum a half a heart.
Got a map check on the Vixryder side. I think I saw, Turtle Rock, Thieves Town, and Skullwoods are all 3 crystals. Oh no, Skullwoods, Ice Palace. So that's some good info for the future. And we know Mizumaier.
Relatively high requirement dungeons, but seeing Ice and TR, both crystals, makes you feel sort of extra good about the early game Fire Rod.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Oh man, Vix, just do it. You don't have the mirror, just jump down, follow the connector.
Yeah, because if it shoots you on the mountain, then you feel good about it.
Even if it dead ends you, you don't really want to be bunny walking, do you?
Yeah, there's not much left from after the like Link's house, the dam, and then the shop. That's the only 3 entrances you can do. And they are far and
but I guess
away.
from Vix's perspective, there's very little left other than bunny walking. Like, assuming that Vix is in no hurry to go to the Chomp Room and find what we know is the mirror, you can fight Land Malice. It's not in logic. What else in Vix's mind remains other than just this long bunny walk crawl?
I'm not sure, not much, but which is good. So it'll lead him to the mirror faster, because if there's nothing you can do. Maybe there's a few connector we have seen that we haven't followed, but
yeah, the scary thing is I could imagine Vix checking Swamp, finding nothing Vix can do anything with, because a majority of entrances as a bunny and no mirror Vix can't do anything with. Then backtracks and takes that connector. It could easily drop you somewhere like the Vanilla Laser Bridge exit, and that's just a lot of walking to get a lot of nothing.
yeah. Oh, we got the magic fairy, but still, because I would be tempted to buy like extra bombs, just for.
Yeah,
future,
I agree with the decision not to make the purchase here, mostly because you're always worried about King Zora before you have a good solution in hand.
Yeah, the money is low currently. We still haven't done Zora, we still haven't opened Pod. But, you know, the less, not having to worry about bombs as much can be good, especially in the low. Right now, all of our weapons are resource intensive. The bow needs arrows, the fire rod, the burner needs magic. Yeah.
Though, you know, you could go get some bees, because we do have the shop that sells bees in CAC, and you have the bug net, so you can make those infinitely restockable.
Yes. I'm sure they will. Okay, we're gonna follow the connector here. So we didn't go all the way.
Grab the ferry. This is a scary walk.
Yeah. They're very, very hard to dodge. And we are on the mountain, but it's the Dark World. Dark World.
Yeah, that... You really wish you had the mirror when you end up there. Because you know you're probably going to be going back through that again. And we've located Misery Mire, which, as much as I am a member of the Misery Mire fan club, you're a lot of stuff away from doing anything with that.
Yeah, and if we found Super Bunny, but from the part where you can't Super Bunny it. Oh, okay.
Professor Render is about to have a little bit of a facepalm moment after having worked so hard in Dark Cross. Just lamp right here.
Yep. So, if I remember, the portal that leads to what we think is probably the progression is it's the you know, going through Village of Outcasts. No, Kakariko, the little barn brings you to Mizumire, brings you to the top of the mountain, and Professor Renderer has not checked that entrance yet, or maybe he has checked the entrance but not the connector. So
we actually have several options to get up there. All of which Vix has found, none of which Professor Render has found.
Yeah. Currently his mirror is...
Professor Render didn't check South Dark World, did he?
No, that's true. Oh, and wow!
Well, that's That's why you check South Dark World with the mirror.
Yeah.
At least that gives Professor Render what you would call a very clear route.
Yeah, he knows how to go get it now, so that's very good. I agree that it's very easy to just go simply check it when you're in the light world to know, okay, because the Moon Pearl is very important, so just knowing where you can go get it, it's the best. And okay,
I'm pretty firmly a member of Team Don't check race game because you have to mirror there anyway just to check what's in the door, but I know I'm in a minority on that one.
I mean, it's a play style, because maybe sometimes having the information saves the time, maybe sometimes it doesn't. I think today having the Moon Pearl there, it's a good information to have. And a good thing here, Vix is about to get is a mirror.
Professor Render can get both chests from Castle Tower here. Unfortunately, he's not, for multiple reasons, going to be unable to beat Aga 1, so that well will remain a mystery to us. But
yeah, still missing
a little
a
value here. Well, Vix knows where all the connectors go. And the only thing Vix is really orphaned at this point is the Desert Big Chest, which is probably just a mistake that we know will not be punished.
Yeah. And he's gonna go do the desert now that he has had a magic refill. Yeah, I like it. It's on the way.
I think this is just clearly a good play from Vix. There's almost no downside to this. Professor Render struggling a bit with those guards.
Yeah.
They can kind of be jerks.
Yeah, without a sword, they're working fast, and sometimes they just staggers you, and you don't have anything. You can't do anything to get them off you. You need like a weapon, like a burner would help or something. But it's all resource intensive. And oh, Era's big key. It's always a nice one.
Also, I'm going to point out Vix will have an extra fire rod shot going into the Landmalus fight because of the lamp. That could make this fight just a little easier for Vix, because Professor Render had to do some sharpshooting, or not, because Vix doesn't grab the magic pot. So actually the same resources as it worked out.
Yeah, okay, Vix saw that it's the... No, sorry, Renderer, Professor Renderer saw that we got the entrance, but I guess you know where the Moon Pearl is. Why enter and do it when you can just go get your Moon Pearl and come back?
I'm just going to be honest, I don't understand if you see the Moon Pearl taking any connector other than the one that leads straight to the moon.
Yeah. We need hammer here. We can't do it yet. That's gonna be a bit of a nuisance. Come back here later. And not forget and not...
Well, Vix is about to join Renderer in the Mire region. Yeah.
I'm guessing this plan is going to straight to the top of the mountain, which is the... Like you said earlier, if you don't know where the Moon Pearl is, that's where there's the most chance to find it. But unfortunately, there will not be a Moon Pearl on the mountain. But still a lot of entrance you can check, and maybe a few good dungeons we can clear. I don't know. Eastern? We don't have a big key, but... A pot? I don't know. But right now we're missing a lot of the good items for progression. Hammer. Still not found. Hookshot.
Yeah, but we have a huge array of entrants, especially with Moon Pearl. Given what we've seen, we have access to just about the entire Dark World right now.
And I think Professor Renderer now is going back towards desert, and that will bring him back to the village of outcasts. So I think the Moon Pearl is on his side right now.
Also, we have no small keys for it, but I'm always as soon as you find the entrance to it, I'm always thinking, how many steps away am I from progression in Ganon's tower? Like, that red cane shows up, immediately I'm thinking, GT, GT, GT.
Yeah.
It's just so dense.
But right now, we don't have anything. We don't have the hammer, we don't have the hookshot, we don't have the cane. So, GT is still... But we get the... We have the bow, so... If we get the big key, that's a possibility. But yeah, the climb. But we need to do the climb anyway, also. But yeah, it's behind a lot of keys, I suppose. Oh, and Vixryder remembers now that he can do the big chest of. That's good, even if it's nothing. Meaning, if it was something, it would not have been as a big deal as.
Unfortunately, Vixryder not checking the last entrance, which would have dumped him in the village of Outcast. And I totally understand this. Vixryder doesn't know where the pearl is, but Vixryder does know how to reach Dark Death Mountain with the meter.
Yeah, totally.
And that's just so much more appealing as a play. So I would do the exact same thing Vixryder is doing here. Unfortunately, with the advantage of the commentary perspective, we know this is going to be punished.
Yeah. Because he still cannot get... Well, if he drops down and decide to not check the mountain, he could technically come... If it's a light world entrance, he could use the mirror to go get his 7 items. With the mirror now, he can push it back. But it's gonna up to go to the mountain.
It does seem most likely that the third Paradox entrance, given that we hadn't seen it yet, is probably Dark World. And if it's Light World, you might run into it in the mountain anyway.
True. And 45 minutes into the seed, we get the Moon Pearl. Always fun to get it before the first hour is over. And now we can do this stuff like the shovel game. Meanwhile, the old man is getting rescued. We've already checked the old man escape, which is at Flute 5. But it's a good way to come back to the village, as we stated before. So it's always good. And it's going to give us an item.
Yeah, and later on when you have a bunch of health, if you really want a full health refill before you start playing, and you have a flute, Mountain Cave's just the fastest place to heal and flute out of.
Yeah.
Oh, looks like there's at least a little value on the floating island. It's our second Ice Palace small key, which is more of a logical artifact than a practically important find, but you see a small key, you're going to really want to go for it, especially as long as Swamp's small key remains unfound. And I don't know if we're going to call it lucky or unlucky, but Vix is the one who does not have the Hera big key, so Vix will not be going upstairs without a weapon to kill Moldorm. So Vix is getting to do, I think, everyone's favorite play, waiting on the tiles in Hera tile room. It's kind of a funny sort of psychological thing. This feels so much worse than doing the GT tile room. They take exactly the same amount of time. I guess it's because the GT tile room's nominally on your way, whereas this one you have to go out of your way and you have to have a key that may or may not be easy to locate in any given seed. Well, Render is set up to do a lot of just basic Dark World clearing here. You have Mir, you have Pearl, and that is a Cane of Samaria. Okay, so anyone who's on team I Hate Hera Basement is going to have a bad time this seed. Turtle Rock's a crystal. We know for sure that is a required red cane. And like I was saying earlier, you really gotta just always be thinking about the importance of GT. It's such a heavily concentrated area. The logic isn't really pointing to it because we don't have any keys for it, but in practice, you have the red cane, you have the fire rod, you can reach the GT compass room right now. On the other hand, Render found Blind's basement, and it had a whole lot of nothing.
The dream. Oh. Pod and Turtle Rock. We already knew about Turtle Rock. That's some new information.
Yeah, Pod is... I don't know how practically interesting that discovery about the Palace of Darkness is, but it's certainly logically interesting, because we need the big key, the hammer, and all 6 Pod small keys to do that, and we are very far from having all that stuff.
Yeah. Well, I like when knowing when it's a crystal, because because now you can manage your key a little bit differently, and knowing that you will need one for Elmazor. Sometime if I know it's a pendant, I will spend it to save the time from the main entrance. But if I know I have to complete it, now I'll just be a little bit extra careful to make sure I still have it to when I'm ready to do the boss.
I agree with you, but what I don't agree with is Professor Render heading toward Mothula without a sword. That's only able to end one possible way, and it's a heartache.
Sometimes it's an easy mistake to forget you need a sword.
I'm going to be honest, with what Render has, I don't even know how you would beat the boss if you could get into the room, but you can't, so it's an academic point anyway. The bees. Oh, and he's going back. It's already done. Oh, what? Okay,
this
is the double heartbreak. I think Render did that
for magic refill.
Magic.
Yeah.
Except I think he wants... I hope he just really wants to have magic, and this is a really slow magic farm, and it's not. I'm going to fill up this magic, go to the vines, and be very, very sad.
Because he's going to spend all his magic also lighting the torch, killing these Gyptos. And okay, at least a full refill, but yeah. Here is the realization that it cannot be done.
I mean, Moth takes 8 hits from the fire rod anyway if you have no way to refill your magic. I guess you get the pot before the room. With what Render had, the fight would have been possible if you never hit Mothula into a spike. Because we know you can very safely and consistently do that, right?
Sure. Not really, but you can try. Yeah, maybe you can dream. Maybe doesn't he have bees? Bees could be good for Mothula, release the bees. They take care of
yeah, I mean, I have yet to find a circumstance in life that is not improved by a swarm of angry bees.
I think I saw this tournament, there was a race and the runner was Alpha Heart and Mothula was almost dead and he released the bee and the bee killed it and it was great. It was a beautiful sight. So the mountain doesn't seem to have procured... Oh, the gloves, I guess, is a Bane 1 from the mountain. And Somaria, right? So that's... Somaria opens up a lot of stuff in Gannis Tower.
Yeah, and as our fellow admin Allison pointed out in chat, it also does open the front to Turtle Rock, which is definitely somewhat of an appealing play here.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. But fortunately, all of these things, they are keeping us away from the Moon Pearl on Vix's side. But we will get there eventually. Oh, he releases the bee in the overworld. Could have had a better life, but no, not today. I mean, I guess he's free now.
I mean, if you're going to just release the bee, at least release it like in some businessman's shop or something, right?
Yeah. Okay, so Vix remembers that there's a key behind the tombstone. And we get a red potion from... we still have the Zora money, but it's not in logic. So I guess buying the potion is a good thing, because you don't even know if you'll ever find the potion shop in Crosskeys. It's not like, you know, if you play NMG, or I mean, just normal randomizer, you never know if you'll find the potion shop. So you can't really rely on buying potion whenever you want. So if you find a shop that sells them and you have the money and you have a bottle, it can be a good idea to just buy it.
Yeah, and Render is gonna make it to the West Light Death Mountain here.
Yep.
Won't have quite as many options as Vix had, but will be able to rescue the old man. Will be able to find the Tower of Hera. Could even do a little more in Hera with the big key. But if Professor Render chooses to do Hera Basement, Kana Samaria will be online here.
We can get all the way to the top of Hera, but we have no weapon that kills Modom right now. Which is always sad.
Yeah, it's entirely possible the Seed wants you to do something annoying, like go into Hera, get the Kana Samaria, go to Turtle Rock, get a sword from the front of Turtle Rock, and then come back to Hera and kill Moldorm.
Yeah.
The randomizer has no qualms whatsoever putting those sort of back and forth sequences into logic.
And speaking of front of Turtle Rock, here it is. That's three checks. Pretty easy. Fortunately, we don't have the hook shot, so we'll have to do the slow route in the second row, but...
Oh, Renderer was caught with a little internal debate, ultimately decides to take this connector. I believe this just is going to put him on the mountain anyway.
Yeah.
So this is actually going to be a pretty positive find.
Is it the one that...
Berry, which I have to say is not as good as a bee, but it's going to have to do.
Yeah. I think that's going to spit him out at the floating island in the mountain. Right? So with the mirror, he can get the item. Or not.
I think he's already been up there.
Okay.
Which is probably why he took that, is he realized, wait, the only thing this connector does finding it here is gets me more mountain access.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll find Meyer. Which is okay, yeah. Oh yeah, you can go do the era, basically. Yeah.
Gotta say, the front of Turtle Rock had a whole lot of nothing.
But now I'm guessing we're going to Ganon's Tower, which is right next to it. So... Or back to the mountain.
Yeah, not going to GT's double surprising, even if you're worried about GT's small keys. Tile room's in logic with just the cane.
Yeah. I think now he's gonna go back to the mire area, and with his gloves, he can check the checkerboard cave entrance. That's where he's heading, and maybe then he comes back in the connector, go back to the place. Oh, we're gonna death warp also, and he's gonna get the big key of Hera here, which is nice.
That's gonna be... So I hope Vixryder will realize that given where the big key of Hera is, the path to the Moon Pearl is not through Hera, and therefore returning to Hera should not be prioritized.
Yeah. Because even if it's doable, doing the death warp right here is not in logic. Unless you play like overworld glitch Crosskeys.
Yeah, and if anyone's wondering why that is, it's because the randomizer is beatable. Not necessarily beatable in the fastest way possible, but beatable without using any glitches or any speedrunner tricks. And while it's certainly not hard to just kill yourself and turn back to Link, it's clearly a glitch.
I mean, if you don't know that it's possible, you will never try it, right? And if that's like you play your first randomizer seed and that's required, and you've never watched someone speedrunner or whatever, then I guess yeah, it would be bad. So I understand why the choice has been made that it's not in logic, and I approve of this. Okay, we're gonna go back to the mountain. And regrets? I feel like maybe Vix wanted to try to go to the third exit, but forgot, went to the second and got stuck, and he has nothing to do on the mountain anymore. Well, he could have went to Era, now that he has a big key, but he won't. And now, that's good. We're going towards Desert Palace, which has an exit that exits in Village of Outcast, and then that means he's probably gonna go check the race game, and the race game will lead him to the Moon Pearl, and both runners will be on equal grounds.
So here's always a little bit of an agonizing moment coming up for Render. Are you going to get a sword or hammer in these two chests?
Yeah.
Like, mathematically, probably not, but man, wouldn't it be nice?
There's 4 swords, there's 1 hammer. We've checked probably, I would say, I don't know, 50 checks, 60 checks already. So, I mean, the statistics are good. On the 2 chests, maybe 1 chance is in 10 that there's a sword, so I'll take that out. But not today.
I mean, 20 rupees is almost as good as a sword, right?
If you we have found the smith, so technically, okay, if you take rupees, you go to the smith, you could probably like make them melt and make yourself a sword, so it's valuable, but it's just like it's not possible in this randomizer, sadly.
Hey, I am enough of a Super Nintendo expert to know that frogs plus swords, you can destroy a mountain with that.
Alright, go south, go south. He's going south.
So, we have an interesting little bit of pendant crystal knowledge on Professor Render's side. Because he knows what 6 of the 7 crystals are. And he knows that Meyer is the green pendant. So, it's just a question, is Eastern Hera or Skull Woods the last unknown crystal?
Yeah. We're probably hoping at this point that Eastern is the last pendant. Because we haven't found it, we don't have the big key, so if you
well,
can't...
there's 2 pendants between those 3 dungeons.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's only 1 crystal between them.
So, yeah, we're hoping that Skullwood is the last crystal.
Yeah, though honestly, Hera's not even a bad one. You're mostly just hoping it's not Eastern, because Eastern is just adding another item to what's already a pretty substantial go mode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We have chat making the same suggestion Link's uncle made of just going back to bed and staying out of trouble. Good life advice. Doesn't get you good rando times.
Still cannot get into Meyer. We don't have a big key anyway, and it's a green pendant, so it's not a bad thing. And I don't remember if someone can help me in the chat or the tracker. Where were the gloves that Vix found? Because yeah, I feel like Professor has done a lot of the mountain, still doesn't have them. Alright, we find Skullwoods. Still no sword. Hopefully we won't see another.
Yeah, that glove location is going to be a little rough for Render here. Render is going to not only not find the gloves on this trip, but actually make that middle drop down relatively less appealing by checking the lower drop down with a pretty simple thing where you just pick up the bush and then mirror on the other side of it to avoid having to pick up a rock.
I really hate these drop downs. Like sometimes you choose left, you choose the middle, and it's not the right option, and then it takes forever to come back to the other one. And if you chose the wrong one, like in this case, it can be pretty rough. Because it's not high on your priority now that if he thinks about it, he has like with the Somaria you can do GT and Turtle Rock and stuff, so maybe like coming back to the mountain all the way, it's not worth it yet. If you can wait to do it like with Meyer and stuff. Oh, we found Eastern.
Yeah, and apparently we know Eastern is a pendant. I guess Vix must have just done a map check to obtain that knowledge. So without a big key and with Eastern being a pendant, I think just going in, getting the 4 checks and assuming you're never coming back is a pretty easily justifiable play.
Yep.
I didn't see exactly where this entrance is, but I know it
can't
be somewhere you want to go back to.
It's the next to the dam with the glove entrance.
Oh, that's actually not too bad.
Yeah.
I guess we just hadn't gotten around to all the glove checks yet.
No, we did not, but I think it's one of the last, maybe the... Ooh, sorry about that. Maybe the other glove entrance next to Desert in the shopping mall, Ice Rod Cave area, is the last one.
Yeah,
but
I know
that we have the Moon Pearl.
The 20 Rupee Cave in the Ice Rod area a lot earlier, but...
Yeah. But now that we have the Moon Pearl, there's also the one that's like the Bumper Cave entrance. I suppose we're gonna see Ganon's Tower after PR from Professor Renderer.
I don't see how you could not do Ganon's Tower here, honestly. Like, even if it's out of logic, like, you get an out of logic sword and it accelerates the seed.
For sure. Okay, that's good. Remembering we don't have the hookshot. So many times I don't have the hookshot and I go to the right and regret and have to do the little... At least there's the little... there's a little... I don't know how you say it, like a wraparound that you can do very quickly, but...
I would say shoutouts to the community. We have a real good running habit of kind of making fun of people every time they go the wrong way there. And remembering being made fun of for doing that is one of the surest ways with human psychology to remember not to do that.
Yeah. I mean, we shame the people that do it, but I also congratulate the people that don't forget to do it. Oh, and here we found some flippers deep in Eastern, pendant Eastern, without the big check. Big key. That's nice.
Those are really pretty convenient because Vix didn't have a natural place to go from here, but just jumping in the water, heading over to Shopping Mall, and doing the East Dark World.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good play.
You can do the Shopping Mall, and then after that you can go towards Pod. You can... Have we even watched what's on the floating island? Like, with the mirror and the flippers, we can do it now. Lots of options. Renderer, it's a good thing. He's going back to the mountain, so I'm guessing we're probably gonna find the gloves.
I think Renderer's main priority here should just be actually getting the items from Paradox Cave.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true. But that's two things he can do at once. All right. Vix didn't. Oh, a compass. Very nice. So yeah, still after 1 hour and 10 minutes, still no swords and no armor either. There's days like this, you know, where you gotta work for everything. And now the first sword has been found. And that opens up the boss Mochula, which also half magic will really facilitate the boss fight.
Yeah, half magic isn't required for anything in this game. It can be logically important for a few niche boss scenarios, but mostly it's just really nice.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is kind of a big little moment for Renderer here. If Renderer jumps down and grabs the glove, I honestly feel like Renderer has a pretty good lead here. If Renderer goes the wrong way and does not get the glove, that glove could be a pretty big mitigating factor for Vix.
And here they are. So the shopping mall on Vix's side was not very fruitful. It happens. Oh, swamp. What did he
Yeah, I
read?
agree with Vix not using the warp to Zora and just going back to Dark World here. Because you can just check Zora out of Catfish. It's kind of the dream, really.
Yeah, that's very true. And anyway, he's gonna go towards this with this warp here.
It is kind of interesting. This routing does effectively put off both the pyramid and the pod area, but this is a lot of static overworld items, so I can see the justification.
Oh. Has he checked this entrance or just walk by? Because there's an entrance. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
that's a connector we've already come out of.
Cool.
So you could argue that that'd be another reason to go to the pod area first, is because you have such an easy connector to get back up here. The argument to do this right away is that if any of these items are important, they could easily be items you want and what you're going to find in the pod area entrances.
Yeah.
Though I think you'll actually be fine without those 10 arrows.
Well, he had 20 arrows only, so he could have taken them to the fake hype cave. That's always a bummer. Oh,
So Professor Render's living dangerously on half a heart. Has a fairy, so he's not in any real danger, but doing this room without getting hit is not free at all.
No. I would like probably release the fairy, get it done with, and not stress. Because sometimes when you live dangerously and you want to keep your health, you go super slow to avoid all the enemies and stuff. And sometimes you just go faster to get it done with. But if you can keep the fairy, maybe it'll be useful later. But I would suppose he will continue towards... Oh, wow. Okay. Probably continue towards the Armos fight. So, I mean, you could probably need the health at some point. Yeah.
So those boots are very thoroughly out of logic. We are 3 GT small keys away from those boots being logically required. But they're sure helpful. I think a lot of players tend to overestimate how much time boots save. Because they do have a startup. It's not as much as it feels like, but it is a continual time savings. And especially in a seed like this, it seems to be defined by having to constantly backtrack over connectors and long overworld walks. It adds up a little more than it does in a typical seed.
Yeah. I think the like what I've been told, I'm not sure if it's true, but like the rule of thumb was boots save about 3 minutes per hour compared to not having that. So I'm not sure if I was told false information, but that's always been like a number I thought seemed like realistic.
That's close to accurate, I would say, just kind of hand-waving it. But it really depends on what you're doing, too. Generally, they save less time in dungeons than on the overworld. Because, you know, dungeons, you just have all these screen transitions and such that constitute a lot of your time, whereas in the overworld, you have long runs.
Mm-hmm. Pod has been found. Still no hammer. Can't really finish it, but there's a lot of items in Pod. Oh, big key of Eastern. Yay. So we have to use this door because we don't have the hammer to skip it. So that means that's an extra key we'll need if we want to get all the chests and be able to kill the boss. Which is normally 4 keys give you all the chests and the boss, but now it's gonna be 5.
Yeah, and I think most players are of the same mind on this point, where you just spin the key on the middle door, because you put one more chest further out of your reach until you get closer to it being in logic. But the amount of backtracking you save is enormous, and without hammer, you can't even do all the loop arounds anyway.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's true, but like my last, or maybe I don't know if it's my last, but I think last week's my go mode was a key of pod, a small key of pod. I had to check extra 15 minutes to get. So sometimes just doing the extra loop around could have saved me a lot of time. So I don't disagree if people want to spend the time to keep the keys. Sometimes it can happen that it will save time. But I do agree on the most runs, it will not save time.
And we see Vixryder just chooses to spin the key to go into the Dark Maze. That's a pretty clear sign that Vixryder is not familiar with, or comfortable with at least, the trick to do the sort of bomb hammer jump to reach the Dark Maze.
Yeah.
It's not required in the game's logic to be able to do that to beat the seed, but that's a key you never have to spend, and it can be a really big deal to just only need 5 pod keys for everything instead of 6, even if you want to route fast.
Yeah. But now I think it's pretty clear he's not gonna check the middle chest and the back chest. You know, the 2 chests that needs a key to open. I think he's gonna keep his key for the boss, because in logic, is it true though that the hammer could logically be there, behind one of those? And like, because you can't open the key of pod without, like, the pod back without the hammer, right? So could it be in logic that the hammer is in pod here behind the key without the 6th key?
So the way this logic is written, other than some specific cases involving only keys, like, you know, where the big key can be in a dungeon, because it's written to account for key sanity and non-key sanity at the same time, it doesn't make what you would call a negative assertion. So that is saying, basically, that logic operates under saying you don't have the hammer. And it never assumes you don't have the hammer, even if you really don't.
All right. Okay, because somebody, I think I heard that a few commentaries ago, and I wasn't sure, and we said, oh, we'll ask. Amazing. And
see, that's an important point though, because I believe the logic is actually different on this point in the item randomizer, where it has a little more conditional checking in pod, and it's willing to make those negative assertions. Of course, part of it is that the logic doesn't know what sequence breaks are possible, so it doesn't assume there's not a sequence break to reach that door without the hammer.
Oh, okay.
There isn't one, but it doesn't assume that doesn't exist. Well, at least there isn't one that anyone knows of. Maybe people keep discovering all sorts of crazy, stupid glitches. Who knows what they'll find next?
Yeah. Okay, so I didn't even know that there was a difference.
We glazed over it, but the Bowlock side of pod did have a hook shot. That's a pretty big item. Now, with what we've found so far, I don't think hookshot does a lot. It means Vix can access Meyer now. Vix also could have gone and gotten those out-of-logic boots, but the in-logic hookshot is certainly another avenue. Yeah.
It's gonna make him go a little bit faster also in a few places in the overworld. And it's good to have it before you find like Hookshot Cave, and we already know where Swamp is, and now we have the water there. So once we get the small key and the hammer, we can full clear it, except maybe the big key or whatever, but big chest. But so I think it's good to find that Hookshot. But yeah, and then once he gets the hammer, Pod will become Cannon Tower will become very interesting. Because now it's really in logic also with the hookshot, a lot of it, so I don't think we'll see him bootless forever.
Yeah, certainly in the game state these two players are in, an in-logic hookshot to me is a lot more valuable than out-of-logic boots. But that's almost an interesting debate. Which of those two items would you prefer to have?
For me, I would prefer to have the in-logic hookshot. But like I'm not super high in the tournament. Okay, I don't gotta helps organize it, but I'm really not good at the mode. So you probably know better than me. And it looks like...
Yeah, of course, there's a huge asymmetry here, too. Like, we don't know what's in these Bootslocks entrances. If there's something big that Renderer gets here, that's going to really put a lot of weight on the boots. On the other hand, if it's Hookshot Fairy, the boots aren't doing a lot for you. We've already seen both torches are pretty bad.
Yeah. Because also, like, the out-of-logic boots can be a big mislead. Like, if it's all the stuff you don't need because the boots are at the end of the logic chain. So I don't know. I feel like follow the logic, but I mean, like sometimes I don't care about the logic, like the lamp logic and stuff. But hookshot, I'll follow it.
Vix showing us a little game mechanic there. The hookshot does not interact with the skulls that are actually alive rocks when you bump into them.
Yeah. One of my worst one is the one in the Zora. I always try to hook it, and it's just there's a fake one there, and it always infuriates me.
Yeah, there's all sorts of weird little quirks with the hookshot in this game. Probably because this is the first Zelda game with the hookshot, so they hadn't really nailed down all the behavior they wanted from it. Like in Zora River, when you try to hookshot over the shallow water, it just doesn't work, which I've done a lot of times too. Or you can't hookshot the pot that has the anti-fairy in it in Thieves Town.
Yeah, in Thieves Town.
Because the anti-fairy sprite just overlaps it a bit and the hookshot bonks off it.
But I've seen, I think in Inban, hook it from the left side and it worked. So I guess it works from, it only stops working from one side.
Yeah, from the top. It just has to do with you're hitting the anti-fairy in the pot is what you're doing. And the anti-fairy has to exist in the pot, because if you powder a pot with an anti-fairy in it, then it becomes a fairy without you having to lift the pot.
It's incredible. Oh. Do we have the big key here? No, we don't. So there's nothing much we could do from here that we haven't already done, so I suspect we won't come back here until we have the big key. On Professor Renderer's side, he's gonna find his flipper, which will unlock him some of the stuff we've seen already from Vix.
Yeah, Renderer will complete footwear percent with the flippers, but I don't think Vix showed us there was really much value behind the flippers, right?
Not really. No, the pod is where it's. I think we found Eastern big key with the flippers, and that's it. In the waterfall, but we don't know yet if it's really important.
Oh man, we have chat criticizing vanilla heart beeps. I really think it's important when playing games like this to appreciate a good continuous heart beep. It's just an excellent reminder that you're still alive, but only barely.
And just be thankful he didn't put double heartbeat. You know, that's still an option. He could have chosen. He chose not to put it double, so it could be worse.
What this randomizer needs is a setting to change it so the heart beeps actually happen at all health. So just you get the heartbeat for your solid 2 hours of gameplay.
No, it doesn't need it, but what's the point at this point? Don't put any idea, okay, into people's mind.
To answer the question, the first sword, and the only sword we've located thus far, is in Paradox Cave. And Vix does know where Paradox Cave is. It's just a question of getting back to it. It's pretty inconvenient. You have to go to the Mire region.
He's been there like 4 times, but 4 times without any Moon Pearl. So now that he has a Moon Pearl, he decides, I don't want to go there. And who needs a sword anyways, right?
Now, here's another pretty significant location in terms of this hookshot versus boots, and that's Hookshot Cave. Now, if you're one of those people who can mash A with a incredibly particular cadence, they're equivalent here. But for mere mortals, hookshot does a lot more work for you in this Hookshot Cave. And a lot more work so far seems to involve pieces of hearts and bombs.
But you need and a small key to Gannis Tower that we probably don't need, but yeah, unfortunate for
that was
Vix.
a very disappointing Hookshot Cave. The connector could be pretty nice though.
Yep. Now we see a disrespect on the shield.
Well, a temporary disrespect. There's probably going to be another chance to pick it up.
Oh, okay, a pod. That's number 5.
Oh man. You know the worst part about not picking up that shield? This is now guaranteed. Vixryder will not be able to acquire the ever-valuable mirror shield in this seed.
Unfortunate. It's such a beauty.
I mean, I think the mirror shield out of every classic Zelda item just has the greatest history of utility across the series. Just think about all the great things it does for you in so many different Zelda.
Yeah. And I guess in A Link to the Past, it's one of the least useful. Like if you compare to there's a whole dungeon in Wind Waker, and even in Ocarina of Time where you need to use it to puzzle and stuff. Here it's only whiz robes and laser from Laser Bridge, but mostly. But I still think it's fine. It's fine to have. Even the small shield can block arrows, so sometimes it can help.
Yeah, just so you know, the Mirror Shield in Ocarina of Time is required to beat Spirit Temple, but it only actually blocks 2 checks, and I guess clearing the Spirit Trial in Ganon's Tower. It's very Ice Rod-esque.
Yeah.
The Mirror Shield is funny. It does, almost literally nothing in Link's Awakening. It's actually a good item in Wind Waker, but
yeah,
it's nearly completely obsoleted by light arrows in Majora's Mask. What an item. Shoutouts to the Mirror Shield. Good work, Nintendo.
here we found a second castle tower key, which means now we can go and complete Aga for 4 items. But we will need the boots, which we already have out of logic for renderer. But for Vix right now, it's not like doing it only for the future is a good idea. Alright. Professor...
So Render's about to demonstrate, even without hovering, you can get one of the 4 chests in Hookshot Cave with boots. And that is in logic, so... Little quirk you gotta know if you want to be able to complete every seed you play.
Yes, that's a fairly common help me in, like, if you go in the Randomizer Discord, like, people stuck and they don't realize that's a possibility, because it's always been a big debate whether it's an intended mechanic or not, but I think the room in Ganon's Tower with the refill, it's like the only way to access it is with a bonk, so that would mean that Nintendo knew that the mechanic exists, so that's why...
Yeah, you can also get into that room with a bomb jump, but that seems less intended than bonking.
Yeah. Alright, so right now, where do you think the next progression will be?
I'm kind of feeling Misery Mire here.
Yeah, that's also what I'm thinking. That's a lot of items in Mire. You know, Mire really sucks in non-entrance mode. It's only 2 items, it's a long dungeon. But here, since it's key sanity, there's a lot of items you can get, even if you don't have the big key. And since it's a green pendant also, we don't really care to don't have the big key and not finish a dungeon. So I would go there. And we have the big key, so we can finish it plainly. But that's the problem is, with the equipment we have, I mean, we have the bow, it's not too bad. But Fire Sword, it's not really...
Jinxeager, one of our trackers, raises an interesting point about the well, which we have everything we need between... Well, actually, Render has everything he needs to go and get into the CAC well right now, but let's remember that logically these boots are behind every GT small key. And the reason that would be important to me if I were playing the seed is I would assume that one of those keys could still be somewhere really bad. And I really don't want to fight Aga 1.
Yeah, the problem is that if you end up in that well and there's 4 items and there's nothing, that's like a big oof moment. So you kind of want to delay it as much as, like, okay, when it's in logic, do it. But I want to do something out of logic that takes like 5 minutes, and then it was all this time there was no way it was ever going to be in logic before go mode. So, but it could be a big mode if you do it. If you're a Professor Renderer and you find like your go mode there, it could be a game changer.
Yeah, it's not even necessarily a bad play, because Aga 1 is just as easy with a fighter sword as with the gold sword. You have a bug net for that matter. You can do whatever. But there's a lot of items that easily could be there and could be important late game progression. Like, we still have the Turtle Rock big key, we still have the Swamp small key, the Pod big key, everyone's favorite item, the Ice Rod.
For me, I'm interested if we could see someone go kill Matsula. I know it looks like it's a pendant, but it's a quick boss. It's a quick item. It could be it could be the reason why the sword is in the game, and we could go kill Mr.
I mean, the actual climb is obviously pretty easy to respond on that because we have the actual lamp. You can actually see in Castle Tower.
All right. The key of T's down.
Yeah, I think Renderer was here a long time ago, right?
I don't remember, but he's back in T-Town, so I guess he already has the big key, and he's going to the back himself. So it's not tracked, but yeah, he clearly does have it as he's opening the door. So yeah, he's been here, and now he can finish the dungeon, which is a crystal. So it's a way better plan than going to Mire.
Yeah, I also observed Vix did a little thing that, for most players, it wouldn't be a big deal, but it can be smart if you're a little forgetful. Vix just opened the door to Trinex while walking right past it. Not able to do anything in there, but that just guarantees that Vix cannot make a mistake with TR small keys that will block access to Trinex.
Yep. You know you want to keep a key to open that door anyways, so just open it up, and now you don't have to worry about counting your keys. You can just, whenever you see a door, you can open it, and you know you won't screw.
Vanilla 3 bombs in the Thieves' Town attic, always a lovely sight.
Yeah, but you need bombs to open the floor, so it's great to get them for free. And if you also want, there's some more behind the pots.
Vix finds the powder. We know that's not really very significant in this seed. All powder leads to is Mire small key.
Mm-hmm. Now, one thing that could be of concern for doing Thieves' Town without the small key and the hammer is that it's going to be, whenever we find the small key of Thieves' Town and the hammer, it's not going to be the first thing that comes into our mind here. So it could be a problem if there's an item there. And
there is always the other viewpoint, of course, which is that because we're relatively far into the seed and we're missing both,
mm-hmm.
the odds that one or the other isn't super late in the progression are actually pretty low.
True. That's very true. It's all about the plays. Sometimes you gotta make the plays. Sometimes you don't. Because you could have found the hammer in the top and the small key in the cell. Therefore, like you have to go to get the hammer. So if you wait forever until you have the hammer, then you never find the hammer. It's a problem. So sometimes you got to do what you got to do. And here we get a crystal, so it's not a bad thing. Which is
it's always a good feeling to just get crystals, because at the end of the day, as much as we value progression items, etc., crystals are what beat the game for you, and that is 2/7 of the way to your crystal goal for Professor Renderer.
Yep. And now he just did a map check, so I think now he knows what he needs.
I actually think he still doesn't. I don't think that map check showed him whether Skull Woods was a crystal, which was the only information he didn't have from the Dark World.
Yeah, he's still, if I look at his own tracker, yeah, there's still an enigma between, well, they were both pendants, right? No, there's one.
Pendant. So our question is either Hera or Skull is the last pendant.
And we're going to see a synchronized Skull Woods.
This will tell us what the last pendant crystal is, because we'll see what drops.
And we have a race within the race, which will kill Matula first.
It is worth noting it's not actually that big of a deal for the completability of the seed, whether this is pendant or crystal, because even if it's pendant, that just means Hera's a crystal, and we have everything we need to beat Hera, both logically and practically, with both players now.
but Vixryder can go to the top a little bit faster since he can do the era pot.
Yeah, it's also a more appealing play for Vixryder because I don't think Vixryder has gotten any of the chest in Upper Hera yet, whereas Render has only Moldorm remaining. So if there's something important on Moldorm, it would actually potentially be pretty bad for Render if Moth drops a crystal.
Yeah, because then it's gonna be like super far in his list of things I want to do. Oh, okay. Well, okay. Now he has to go.
But Mothula, thinking of the content, decides to give us a pendant.
And with that pendant, we have the big key of Eastern, the bow. We have the big key of Meyer, the Somaria, and the lamp. The pedestal is in logic.
Yeah, though, somewhat interestingly, Vix has every piece of the puzzle to do Ped right now. It's not fully in logic. We need to find the last Skullwood small key, but that's
okay. It's doable.
Whatever. But you don't care if you ever find the last Skullwood.
Yeah.
But Vix has all the pieces to the puzzle for Ped. Render is 2 big keys away from that. Now, in the likely event Pedestal is nothing, that's just good news. Fewer red herrings to chase, but if this seed is going to be a little ornery, that could be pretty good for Vix.
Oh. I was thinking like, okay, maybe there's something in this hole that I have never known, but no, it was just maybe he's looking at his tracker, and sometimes you think where you're going next and let the fingers go into holes you're not supposed to. But yeah, it feels like he's going to the era, which, like we said, he's done none of the checks on the upstairs, so for him it's a lot, and we know it's a crystal. Where is the hammer? That is the big question. I feel it's gonna unlock a lot of things, as like most of the remainder of Ganon's Tower. Also Swamp, but we still miss the small key to Swamp. Yep. Swamp, which Professor Renderer is gonna find immediately. Still, I've not found the dam yet, and doesn't have the small key, not the hammer, so that's a long-term project for him.
So I wonder if with what is actually Vix's 3rd GT key, Vix is going to be tempted back into Ganon's Tower. Because now, with 3 GT small keys, Ice Armos is in logic, and that would involve going through Compass Room, which would mean the boots would be located.
Mm-hmm. It's been a while now. I think it's probably been half an hour already that there's a boot advantage, even maybe more, 40 minutes, so I'm sure he'll be happy to find the boots. But maybe also because he doesn't know what's there, but like that's a lot of chance, like 7 chances to find the hammer. That also unlocks stuff, you know, so.
And this boss fight, it's a little bit of inexperience showing here. It is not faster to fight Moldorm with spins instead of slashes if you only have a fighter sword. So that's just a little bit of a time loss from a bit of a less efficient fight method. But Vix did first try it with no falls, so
it's still a little bit safer, I guess, because if you get poked and you are with your sword you can like fight back, but if you are not, you just fall. So, but yeah, I guess the fight is way easier if you have the boots, which you didn't have. So
yeah, usually the method I would do for that fighter sword, nothing else to help you fight, is I would just kind of try to slash at it for the first 5 hit and then hold the sword for safety for the last hit.
Yeah.
Moldorm's not that hard to dance around normally, but in fast mode, it's a lot more difficult.
Yeah, agreed. It's always the last phase that's the problem. I think we're going to Mire area. Here? Which... Okay, Mire... Yeah, Mire dungeon... Oh, we can open this door too.
Yeah, that's kind of a doubly nice thing where you...
Oh!
An entrance, you... I personally would be very annoyed finding this as Vixryder, because, like, with how long of a trip it is to get here and with how much you have left, you have to go into Ice Palace. But, man, I don't want to go into Ice Palace with no hammer.
Would have you... Because, you know, Mire is, like, the next entrance... Oh, no, it's down, so you can't really do it like the other...
Yeah, you can't go back, like... I totally agree with going into Ice Palace here. This is one of the points where I would make this play, but there would be a loud sigh on my stream.
Yeah. We don't even have the big key. But we have 2 keys. So we can do the... icebreaker here is gonna save us a little bit of time to make every
very clean icebreaker from Vixryder. That was fast.
Yeah. And let's blame Trez for that Ice Palace.
I mean, we could probably come up with more things to blame Trez for if we wanted to. I'm game. So we did find the last Skullwood small key here. So now Pedestal is really and truly fully in logic.
Yeah. I don't think you actively go towards that still, but I mean, you... Like, the next play is to go to do Mire, and then after that, if you don't have nothing left, there's 2 chests. You can do an Eastern, and then it opens the ped, so...
Vix misses the bomb jump to Ice-T. Gonna have to walk around a bit more. It's not the worst thing in the world. The bomb jump from that side, it's not really difficult, but the lineup is a little more specific, whereas the lineup is very easy if you do it the other way around.
Yeah, and considering it's gonna mirror after getting the last item, it's not the end of the world. Oh! Okay. I mean, it's not a bad item to get. But yeah, we have to double dip that dungeon.
The Ice Rod is less bad than it probably seems at first. Because you are a Turtle Rock Big Key away from being able to fight Trinex. And actually with half magic, 2 bottles, we have access to the potion shop, right?
Yeah.
Fighter Sword Trinex is in logic if we get a big key.
Where are we heading? I thought we were heading for sure in Mizumire, but now it looks like that there's another idea in the mind of the Vixryder. While Professor Rinder is finishing and doing some checks we've already done on the pod side, and he finds pod with 4 keys. He will do it. He still doesn't have the big key, but he will be able to get every item except for 1, and can go to the boss.
I am very surprised that after finding Ice Palace, Vix didn't go to Mire. I was assuming that Vix was there to go to Mire and just bumped into Ice Palace as sort of a, well, I guess this is here moment.
Yeah, because if you have to go, if you did all this to go to the Dark World, I think that it wouldn't have been faster to go through desert in the Ice Red Cave. I mean, both sucks, but yeah, I guess he also could doing it that way led him to an extra door. Maybe he was thinking about, and it was lucky for him that it was ice. So. But yeah, I would have done Mire too. But hey, maybe Meyer has nothing. And like we said earlier, with Professor Render going to do a crystal, it's not a bad idea.
Yeah, it's just like the main thing that I think works against going to Meyer is just it's a really inconvenient overworld trip. But when you're already on Dark Death Mountain,
yeah,
you just gotta. Like, that's really what it comes down to. You've just gotta. Oh, and speaking of interesting things, so for not being ready or willing to do the hammer jump, we saw Vix did not check the Harmless Hellway chest, and it was Bamos. Now, Bamos is not the medallion for the Meyer entrance. We don't know for the TR entrance, but we're pretty far from being able to do that anyway. It's sure a nice item to have if we're going to have to do a lowish % cold stare at some point.
That's very true. We have the double magic, so the fire rod fight still is not that bad. But yeah, for sure, with like fighter sword, you want to have as much magic as you need to just avoid doing the longest fight ever. And it's not looking like Vixryder is gonna get Bombos anytime soon. He found an extra key of pod, so when he goes in pod with the big key, he can check one extra chest, but I would suppose he would check the first one before the bottom one, if he doesn't have all the keys.
Did Render drop down and check the sort of lower chest in a pod? Or is he gonna have to make an extra trip just for one chest?
I'm not sure. I think he didn't, but maybe he plans to check the mid chest and then drop. But that would leave him without a key.
Like, he's already opened the middle door. Yeah, he's just... Well, yeah, he could definitely check the big key, but something that's kind of good to keep in mind for pod routing, I'll just kind of let any newer players know this. You usually want to go to right side after dropping here, because this teleporter in this room leads you right to the teleporter room that goes to right side. Mm-hmm. So it's just a little bit of efficiency, so you have to loop through pod a little less.
And now he's got his hookshot, and I think he knows where hookshot cave is, so that's the main thing. It really opens.
It definitely makes Meyer more appealing from his perspective, because that, unlike his boots, Meyer is very much in logic.
Yeah. Are we gonna see Ganon's Tower now? With a mirror here from Vix. It's been a long time that's been chest available here.
I will say that with those 3 small keys, and Render lost Kiki, but
oh no.
one very plausible place for Hammer would be somewhere like GT Big Chest. Wouldn't be a nice place for it, but it would make all the sense, right?
Yeah. Potion. So here's the potion shop that makes Vitreous in Logic. Or is it Trinex? Once we find the...
Yeah, it's Trinex, but we have to find the TR Big Key, of course.
Yeah.
Trinex is, assuming no other swords are available either, is the meanest place Hammer could be. Just find TR Big Key somewhere like Meyer, and then you have to go kill Trinex.
Okay, I think we're gonna see Meyer now. He's going back.
Well, the single meanest scenario, because I know there's a lot of Schadenfreude fans in Twitch chat, there always are, would be if Sahas has the TR Big Key, and our next progression after that is dropped by Trinex.
Yeah. Alright, so something new. It's been a while since people have been doing stuff that they've been doing each other, but now Meyer really feels like it's gonna unlock something for us. But might not, but...
Yeah, TR, fair point from the chat, fair point. TR big key on pedestal, hammer drop by Tridex is even worse.
It's not gonna happen, but it could happen.
My personal favorite will always be required book on pedestal.
There's the hammer.
Hammer's just right there. Interestingly, that is not fully logical. We don't have the third Meyer small key. I'm assuming both players have the same 2 Meyer smalls. Like, that's not a big deal to skip, because the third Meyer key could be somewhere really stupid, like GT Big Chest. And you never practically need it. But...
Yeah. Honestly, like you just told me there's a key logic in Meyer, and I was like, what? Because for me, like, you can access everything without a key, but I guess that's not true. But there's keys in the dungeon, right?
Yeah, you can. You could choose to use your keys to open all the
doors
for the fish room and the rupee room in the basement and all the other bad decisions.
But it's never gonna happen. Nobody's gonna do that. But I guess. It's not in logic.
Yeah, if you route intelligently in Meyer, you don't need any of the Meyer small keys. All 3 are useless. One of them lets you route faster.
Good dream. Yeah, I love having the keys before. People say, oh, they are useless, the key of Meyer, but going to the left side first and then being able to go to the left side, it saves a lot of time. But now the question is, since you find the hammer, do you quit before beating the boss, or do you commit?
That's an interesting choice. Given that it's green pendant, there's a little more value to going all the way through here. But you kind of just assess, how far am I from go mode, and how risky do I think I need to play?
Yeah. I mean, the hammer unlocks... the end of Meyer, but we've already been in there. But for Vix, not for. Prof went, but not Vix, and which is good for him, I guess, because he can do it once and for all.
Yeah, like the biggest thing that Hammer puts in logic is some extra work in GT. It lets you kill Helmasaur King. Not a super big thing. It lets you make some pretty substantial progress in Swamp now. That Swamp small key would really tempt me to use the mirror right after opening the big chest, to be honest. Or save and quit, same difference.
And
if not for that Swamp small key, I probably would have wanted to see a Vitreous kill. But with the Swamp small key, I think that's a lot more justifiable to just leave.
Yeah. That's a lot of items in Swamp. And he's gonna beeline it. But yeah, I agree. Gannis Tower, Swamp.
Like, at this point, you're actually pretty close to go mode. You need another sword to beat Ganon. You need the Pod Big Key. You need the Turtle Rock Big Key. I think that's actually it.
Yeah. Have we found all the dungeons? Yes. So no need to the myths.
Yeah, and I mean, as much as it's easy to worry about the boots, the reality is, if Swamp is loaded, Vix could easily beat the seed without ever finding the boots. And if GT ends up being completely optional, that's actually going to be the fastest route through the seed. Skipping GT saves more time than having boots.
Yeah, well, we'll see, because, I mean, there's big chances that there's a progression in GT anyway, that we will need, like, a big key in a render room or something.
Oh, yeah, totally. It's still very likely that left side GT has something important on it. I'm just saying, in the world where Swamp is just loaded with value, if you leave Swamp in go mode, which is possible, you're actually feeling really good about it.
For sure. Now, how long will Professor Renderer put off Meyer? Because he was right there and chose not to go in. but now he didn't have the hookshot. Now he's got it. So, and now he's going to go to hookshot cave. So he's starting to play his hookshot options. So probably, hopefully, Meyer is going to be soon.
And yeah, in terms of just the state of the race here, is Vix nearly purely ahead now? Like, what, other than, I guess, finding that Vamos, which isn't that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things, what has Renderer done that Vix hasn't?
Not much. Ganon's Tower and the boots, but like when he gets his boot, if he ever gets them, then he has to spend a bit of time checking all the boot entrance. That's already been done, but otherwise, it's everything. Vix is in it, has done the same thing, if not more. Well, more because he's got the hammer. I mean, so, but yeah, but it's mainly the main difference is Mizumeyer. We're gonna see a little diver down, make things a little bit faster in Swamp Palace.
Yeah, we did have the little bit of a fun moment setting it up where hitting that crystal switch is a little awkward. You don't have a Master Sword. The usual default item you use there is Boomerang, and also don't have that. Went with bombs. You can also use Samaria.
yeah, that's what I probably would have done. But Samaria, yeah, you have to throw it. It's all a bit awkward. At this point, like 2 hours in the seed, you expect to have like Master Sword normally, but I'm feeling we're gonna find it in the back of this dungeon. I have a hinge, and which would be good also for the boss fight, which is gonna be a little bit slow without Master Sword. So you can still do like
a little more mystery in our life. We just found the shovel.
Yeah. Shovel.
So there's a lot of good things that the shovel obviously could lead to. The item we all want it to lead to is the Swamp Big Key.
The trolliest option. Because yeah, we're not gonna come back for the big key. Oh, okay. There's a play here. On Professor Renderer's side, he's gonna do Aganon climb for the well for 4 chests.
This will also give him access to
the portal. Yeah.
Well, not just the portal, but it's gonna open the Vanilla Castle Tower entrance because the laser electric thing goes away when you beat Aga 1.
Yeah.
And we do not currently have a Master Sword or Cape, so this is the only way to get in there. I don't think there's a ton of value remaining concentrated in the entrances, but there's probably still something.
Mm-hmm. We found Flute for Vixryder. Flute is not gonna open up any progression at this point, but it's just a good to have. If you end up passing to the village, you definitely activate it, but like at this point in the race, it's not like the biggest game changer.
Yeah, and remember the possibility of leaving Swamp in Go mode? We didn't find any of our critical progression items in here. We found a flute, which is a convenience, not a progression item in this seed. We've found a shovel, which is a mystery.
Yeah.
And we have one more item left from Argus.
Indeed,
I'd be feeling
a
little disappointed in what Swamp Palace had to offer if I were Vix.
Yeah. Because now it's not a... If you can come here later in Go mode and skip all of that dungeon, that's a big time save. Especially like if you look also like the boss fight is kind of awkward without the Master Sword. You have to do spins, but I must say Vixryder is doing a good job of getting like double spins on puffs with the Fighter Sword, two puffs at a time. So definitely doing a good job here, but it's still like if you could come here later in the seed with the Tempered Sword, let's say, save a lot of time.
I will give Vixryder some credit. You can really tell Vixryder has put in the hours doing some practice on some stuff. You had the super clean icebreaker, you had the diver down, no issue, and the way Vix was going about fighting Argus, there were a couple flubs, but the fundamental approach was the fastest strategy, where you try to get the double spins to hit multiple puffs at once.
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, we're fighting the Blue Balls Master, Aghanim himself, in a weird color, with a weird song. But it remains that the fight could last for a long time if it keeps shooting blue balls. It's every time he shoots, there's 50-50 chance that it's a blue ball, except every time after he shoots the laser. So it could have like a maximum of, I think, 16 blue ball or something ridiculous. That would spend a lot of useless time. If it's not required, the more blue balls there is, the more it could be a burden for him.
Yeah, though, if both runners end up making the play, it is worth noting in all versions of A Link to the Past Randomizer, whether you do normal ones, Crosskeys, the Crazy Door Rando, the boss RNG is fixed to be the same, which means as long as you don't die and fight the boss multiple times, you will always get the same number of blue balls from both players. Same thing with Ganon Warps.
Check the door! Check the door! Alright. Oh, it's Hotel Mario. It's a great one. And we got a GT play. Yeah, if we were playing the Hotel Mario mode, Professor Renderer would have won the game. But I don't think there's ever been a Hotel Mario % tournament, so...
Yeah, I know the website overwrites some of the various text I put in from the entrance randomizer. That guy is supposed to have unique lines in the entrance randomizer, talking about how his solution to not wanting to mow his yard was to move his house. So, lore-wise, that guy is the reason the entrance randomizer exists. Just keep it in mind.
I hate mowing the lawn myself, so I completely sympathize with the guy. Alright, so clearly Renderer is going all the way here, and he's gonna bunk, and if he finds anything in these 4 chests, that's very, very good for him. If there's nothing, it could be a problem. So it's a big moment.
Mitts are interesting. They're almost... The odds of them being required are fairly low at this point, but especially combined with the flute, they're certainly a navigational convenience. And they could be required. There's a couple Mitts entrances. We have the Smith.
Alright, so... a Master Sword is definitely good, but it might not be required depending where the other swords are. But it's, as you were talking earlier about the Meyer keys and stuff, there was a small Meyer key, so technically I'm guessing this is required in Logic to get the hammer and stuff, but the only good thing for Renderer is the sword right now. But it could be, if it's the only one that's like super easily accessible as a second option, it could really do some, could really be a game changer here.
So people are saying that puts the hammer in Logic. I hate to be the pedantic guy to rain on everyone's parade. That's a lie. I love being the pedantic guy to rain on everyone's parade. But we need the 4th GT small key to put that Meyer small key into Logic, right? Oh wait, no, it's on the Aga side.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, we still need the Ganon's Tower key. We need the GT key to put that Meyer key into Logic from either case.
Well, they have the GT big key, right? You're talking about the 4th one, 4th small.
Yeah, the 4th small, which this isn't a practical need at all. We can practically do everything. But if you want to untangle the maze of this Logic to pass the quiz. You have a lot of work to do to figure it out still.
Yeah. And I don't really...
We are going straight for the climb.
Yeah.
I like climbing in principle, but it feels kind of bad climbing without the hammer here, knowing you're going to have to make just more trips back. Which you might say it's just in CAC, but...
The thing, he doesn't
have the fastest way to CAC.
Yeah, he doesn't have the hammer, so in his mind, it could be that the hammer is in here, and he has to do it anyway, because it's Ganon is at the drop, right? So... For him, it makes sense to do it because it's available. You have to do it, and if the hammer is on the top, then you don't have to do like other stuff.
Yeah, I don't hate the decision at all here. I just am looking at this and I'm like, in practice, GT is about to just accelerate Vix to quite the pole position because Vix is going to get the boots here. Then Vix is going to do exactly this climb for exactly the same reasons you know it's required. With the cape from GT Big Chest, Vix is going to be able to check the useless entrance to my friend who hates mowing his yard. But either way, that'll just be, you know, that checked off the list.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I do agree that putting off Meyer for so long for Professor Renderer here is gonna have had a very big impact on his race. Maybe one of the reasons why you didn't want to go there was maybe you know, Vitreous is not the easiest fight, and when you're only fighter sword, maybe you're put off by just going there. Now that he has Master Sword, I would think he will have a more incentive, even more incentive to go after the climb.
Yeah, I personally don't think it makes sense to be too scared of Vitreous when you have a bow. The bow is a very helpful item for Vitreous.
Oh, for sure.
I suspect it's more about just, it's such a long walk to get to Meyer, and he's just looking for every rationalization not to go there, and it's not paying off, and it's going to continue not paying off.
Yeah. And if you can, like, finish the seed without ever going, then you know, hey, you did something good. Like, my opponent probably went in there and found junk. But since there's the very big item in there... Okay, and we're not doing the climb here already for...
That's very surprising to me. Like, in a normal seed, I would completely agree with not climbing here. Go beat GT or TR. It's a crystal you can clear. But in this seed,
maybe it was a arrow situation.
To buy arrows.
Yeah.
That's much easier to justify.
Yeah,
like with Ganon in the pyramid, there's really no good reason not to climb here. But going and buying arrows first, that's justifiable.
Yeah. Yeah, Lilith in the chat says, like, with the flute, you can wait a little bit. But I don't think, would it be faster to wait? I mean, because what if there's item in the progression here?
Yeah, it's kind of the risk-reward, because, well, for one, if you can do this dead last, which is the dream, then you just drop straight into Ganon after clearing GT. But even if you have to do it later, it's obviously faster to climb with a bigger sword than fighter sword. But it's 4 items, and you don't have a ton of remaining options. Like, really the only other super appealing play on Vix's side I'd be looking at would be going and killing Trinex, which you totally want to do, but...
There's also Ice
Not
Badass.
a lot of items.
In this case, he's never even dipped in Ice Badass, right? But maybe he hasn't found it yet. But we've seen it only on one side.
Yeah, Render hasn't found Ice Palace, but Vix has been in Ice and only has the big chest and the boss left, with still no big keys. So going back to Ice is... I wouldn't go back to Ice unless I either found the big key or I was in go mode.
Okay, yeah. I thought it was Renderer that found Ice Badass when he was going towards Meyer.
No, it was Vix was going toward Meyer, found Ice Palace, then didn't go into Meyer, then did other stuff, and then went back to Meyer.
Okay.
All before Render has gone back to Meyer at all.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense.
So yeah, Render hasn't even really made any moves even in the Meyer direction in a long time, and that is concerning.
Yeah. Also, having the hammer, it unlocks for us a few things that we've seen, like Spike Cave is available. We've seen it before. And also, I think Mimic Cave was somewhere like in the desert area.
Yeah, there's totally also just the play of doing a lot of overworld cleanup. Spike Cave, Mimic Cave, Smith, Purple Chest, they're all available.
Smith, oh, we have the myths, yeah. That's... Let's see where Vix Professor is going back to buy potion, or
heading back to pod with another pod small key or two.
Okay,
just
can check
the vanilla big chest here, or vanilla big key chest rather, which I don't think that's a bad check at all to make right after getting spit on the pyramid.
Mm-hmm.
The bigger question is what happens after this.
But without the hammer and the myths, for him, he must have like very limited stuff he can do at this point.
It's a shame that wasn't the compass to Misery Meyer, because he needs something pointing that way.
Yeah, just a reminder. Alazun in chat asking how Lilin got VIP on the Zelda speedrun. I think if you win a Crosskeys tournament, it's a fair assumption you can get a VIP.
Yeah, Vix being aware there is no need to kill the mini Helmasaur for the small key. Has enough keys anyway.
Okay, so that's I like this. Oh, he's gonna find ice before Meyer, and then
yeah, that's it feels real bad, but this is basically inevitable.
Yeah,
the way the seed was gonna route, everyone was going to find ice right before going into Meyer, unless you find ice and then run away from the mountain. But you're still finding ice before Meyer, then you're just adding extra delay.
Yeah. It's totally fair since it happened to both. So, but it's just seeing it twice. It's just like, especially now knowing that just a few an entrance like not even like 1 minute, 15 seconds away. There's your great hammer waiting for you.
This will get Render his ice rod, which will help simplify the list for him. As viewers at this point, we're mostly just really wondering where the pod big key is. We're wondering a little bit where the other two swords are, but they'll show up somewhere, I'm sure.
Like the only way that the master sword we found is like very necessary is if the two other swords are in tablets, which is like very unlikely. Otherwise, most of the other swords, they should be somewhere and available.
Though it is worth noting, we don't have a lot of great spots left to check. It's totally believable that, say, another sword's on pedestal, and that's even slower than killing Aga 1.
Yeah. Yeah, if we end up like having a lot less and less stuff, I think at some point Vix might be tempted to do Aga, but I mean he has so much stuff available. It wouldn't be high on my priority.
Oh yeah, the excellent point made in chat of the Thieves Town big chest, another horrible place that a sword could land. If we want to be here for a lot longer, it could be where the pod big key lands.
Yeah. So unfortunately, here renderer hit the switch. I think the switch is good when you plan on finishing the dungeon. I guess it's not a bad thing because it doesn't have the big key, and if you find the hammer in the dungeon, and you can finish it, but he has to do an extra few rooms here to get by all the way back to the iced tea room.
Yeah, I think this is a fairly justifiable play in this case, just because.
Yeah, no big key.
From renderer's perspective, the hammer is almost inevitably either in ice or in mire, and it's about a 50-50. A 50-50 of only doing ice once is pretty worth taking.
Yep. Is Bombos required? Not. It's not required.
And renderer is going somewhere. I don't know or understand, but what I do know is it's not into misery mire.
Yeah. I think he can still. Oh no, he can't. He won't be able to go back to mire from. He doesn't have the mitts.
I guess he's gonna kill Moldorm here, and that's going to get him another crystal. But like, this is only one item. You have to know the odds. This is what progresses you just aren't very high.
Yeah. And now he's gonna have to do an extra walk all the way back to the top.
Yeah, kind of doubly, I dislike this routing because you can do mire first and then just mirror and hookshot over and go right into here.
But in the end, I mean, you had to, like, he would have to. He doesn't know like that the flute and stuff, so he will have to do an extra. Even if he goes to mire, at some point he will have to do an extra walk to somewhere in the mountain to go to. So if he's like, okay, I'm going to do that and that, the order doesn't really matter.
Well, that's what I was saying, though. Mire's on East Dark Death Mountain. You drop down, you clear out mire, you mirror, and you hookshot over to West Death Mountain.
Okay, then that's totally
yeah, because he has hookshot and he doesn't have mitts. This would just be the safer way to clear out all his business on the mountain. He's just gambling here that he can stay out of mire and that Moldorm gives him progression, but that is a gamble he has lost.
Yeah. But he win a crystal, which this is third. So we equal on the crystal counts, but I mean in terms of progression and just the race itself, Vixryder is comfortably in the lead right now, but nothing is over until it's over.
Vix is going straight back into Ice Palace, still without the big key. That's a very bold play because that is pretty much just hard gambling. Ice big chest is not required.
Yeah.
Which it probably isn't, but it's scary to me to add lose conditions, and it's also scary to me to make the list of totally orphan spots too long when you're only on fighter sword, because you're just making a list of places that all the swords could be at.
That's true. There was only one check in logic, like because now the boss won't be in logic also.
Yeah, that chest on the right side of Ice Palace was the only logical check. It was only 50 rupees. Like, personally, after that initial dip of Ice Palace, unless that chest on the right was literal last logical location, I would not come back here without either the big key or in go mode. But Vix has made a different decision, and we're going to see what Cold Stare has to offer us.
I mean, it's going to be a crystal, but what else? And renderer will find his hammer really soon, since he's in mire. Now, we're starting to dwindle in the things that we haven't seen and stuff. And if renderer decides to, after getting everything in mire, decides to still go forwards and kill Vitreous for the item and the green pendant, it could be something that puts him ahead.
We get the mushroom from Cold Stare, which is a little fun. Not great, because we know the potion shop's in a pretty bad place, the vanilla pod entrance. And it's out of logic without the ice big key. You don't feel great about it, but when everything else you need is kind of a dead-end item anyway, you just don't know.
So there was maybe an incentive for Vix to go to Vitreous right after Ice. I mean, you could have just dropped in, but now he decided not to go in Mire a second time.
Yeah, I mostly agree with that decision too. Like, I suspect the real reason Vix went up to the mountain was to check the Turtle Rock entrance.
Mm-hmm.
And clearing ice just kind of was two things to do in the area.
Is there like a major...
With Fluid, Hookshot, and Mitch, you can get back to Mire relatively easily. And you have stuff like the Smith to clean up here, which I'm actually very surprised Vix did not pick up the Smith right away.
Yeah. Is there like a major item density that we haven't found in like a Hype Cave, maybe?
I don't think so. I think we found everything, right? I know we found Mini Moldorm Cave in Blind's basement. I'm not remembering Hype Cave in particular, but I feel like we saw it. Maybe I'm just wrong.
Because why keep prioritizing like the doors if you found all your dungeons?
I mean, here we see Vix making the play toward Turtle Rock, getting the TR big chest out of the way, and then just going to head down and kill Trinex. I 100% agree with that decision. This is just the play. It gets you to 6 crystals.
Yeah.
It lets you do Super Bomb if you really want to, but if you get a good item from Trinex, that's just the path.
Super Bomb is dead. Most likely we've seen the exit.
Oh yeah, we have the other 5-6 crystal is pod. Never mind, you're at 6 crystals and can't do Super Bomb.
Yeah, it's gonna be the last one. But maybe for a sword in this case. Right.
Yeah, because you could end up in a real interesting situation where we're in no mode, but Vix might still not have to do things that Render did for progression items, just because sword mode is a relatively likely outcome for Vix here. Just if Vix finds the pod big key before the sword, that's exactly what we're looking at.
And it looks like Professor Renderer is gonna go and clear the dungeon here, even after finding the Swamp Small. He's gonna go to Vitreous.
And this is a big moment in the race. Because while I feel like Vix is pretty clearly ahead right now, it's not a huge lead. And if Vitreous ends up giving us the pod big key, this race is immediately flipped back around to Renderer's favor, I feel.
Because Ice Go mode is very fast. Going to kill Mr. Trinex is very fast also, as we've seen. Then pod.
And like the Turtle Rock big key and left side GT, that's a really obvious place to check. Whereas killing Vitreous is a near last location place to go do at this point for Vix.
Yeah, it's 2 items at least. It's bigger than like it might have a bigger interest since it's the green pendant and still like just a 1 blue pendant or whatever. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he chooses to do like the play that Vix did before, to go kill the Aga for 4 items before going back to Mire. Which I think Renderer really needs Vix to have the idea to go kill Aga. Even though it's gonna give him a sword, it's gonna take a lot of time.
Yeah, it's actually really interesting. It's hard to say with what we know now whether Ryder going and killing Aga 1 would be a good or bad play in terms of reward. Because the sword is required, and for all we know, the other 2 swords are even worse.
Mm-hmm. It really depends what the go mode is, and if how long it takes for Vixryder to find a sword if he does not go there.
And for all that matter, if that is the fastest of the 3 swords, which we just have no way to know, then it's always best to get things like swords as soon as possible so they have the opportunity to save you the most time.
Yeah. Gotta be careful here. 6 art, get a blue potion just in case. Yeah. I would probably have taken the red potion, since you don't need the magic refill, but it's gonna save a little bit of time on the animation, I guess. But it still has to do like there's some bosses that could require magic, like Trinix.
Yeah, whereas we see Vix going for the play I definitely would make in Vix's position, which is just taking care of the Smith chain. Probably going to do the cleanup with Spike Cave and the Mimic Cave as well. Just whatever routes together the most cleanly. Check the shovel, check the mushroom. Just take care of business. Because these are a lot of single checks you sort of have hanging around the overworld. Any one of them isn't necessarily a great check, but collectively it's pretty likely one of them has something good for you.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I always forget that the Smith is one of the randomizer location. I always bring back my Smith to the vanilla entrance and have regret. But here in our case, it's at the Hype Cave Light World, so it's gonna be right after this entrance.
Yeah, and Vix is making the routing a little more fit. It's actually a nice little bit of a routing efficiency there. Grab Smith, check shovel location, check these bonk rocks, then turn in Smith. When you're having to do cleanup like this, the more you can combo multiple checks together, the faster your in-game time will be.
Always enjoy being able to mirror stuff. Okay, Renderer is gonna do the same thing. He's gonna go in ice right here without the big key also. So if there's something in a big chest, both of them will, if it's like the big key of pod, both of them will have like a hard time going back there, I guess.
That's not very good for Renderer, because this basically is removing one of Renderer's outs this race. Because like Renderer's biggest out remains the green pendant. But another out Renderer had was putting off ice until the big key, and that being critical. And that's pretty much off the table now, because that's last location for both of them.
Also, like, I feel when you're late in this seed like this, when you make a gamble, say to finish a green pendant for... you should go, and when you're one item go mode, you should go immediately give your green pendant. Right? Because if it's your go mode, then you're good. But then the more you wait after you've made your gamble and you don't get the reward, it could be a problem. Like as if he finds the ice big key in on the green pendant, then like, okay, well now I have to go back in pod in ice. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, there's obviously circumstances where you have to weigh things like what's right next door, etc. But in this case, I think that would have been definitely the play, because it wasn't really a super direct go straight to Ice Palace from Meyer in this situation, and Sahas is easily accessible, just in his vanilla location.
Vanilla Saha. And even with, I think, the old man, you know, it's that...
Oh, we hadn't seen Hype Cave.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So, Vix was probably just hunting this the whole time.
Yeah. And
there's another sword, so... But not the pod big key. So now Vix would be definitely best served avoiding Aga 1 forever. Doing Aga 1 for Tempered is it's not the worst. You save a good chunk of time on Ganon, but you don't make up the time for the climb. Especially because we know it's a pattern with bad blue balls.
Yeah. And if we end up finding like the silvers somewhere, then the time that the the tempered sword saves becomes less. So,
and for that matter, we could find the fourth sword still. It exists. I mean, for all we know, it's in the Ice Palace big chest, but it's somewhere.
Alright, we're fighting Cold Stare. He had the advantage of having Bombos. I'm not sure if he used it, because now he has no magic, but the fight is over, and he gets a crystal. And a mushroom, which we just saw is not useful today.
Vix passing on another shield. Now Vix won't even be able to get a red shield. I just don't feel that Vix is going to be very shielded this race at all.
It's not a good seed for the shield lovers, but the shield haters loves it. But I mean, Renderer has the shield on his side, so we have Vixryder, a shield. He hates the shields. Professor might get the shield. We'll see.
Yeah, and Vix now popping into pod, gonna get a couple chests here, because Vix still has the Harmless Hellway chest to check, as well as the Vanilla Big Key, but we know neither is gonna do much for him.
Yeah, that's nothing is here today for him. But it's a good idea to go check it. I mean, it's 2 items, and you're already, if it's the big key you're looking, you're already in the dungeon. So
I think the biggest thing was just Vix was already in the area to check the mushrooms, so this was an efficiency. I was kind of wondering why Vix did the whole mushroom sequence before turning in the purple chest, but it makes a little more sense if you wanted to combo this. Whereas purple chest really doesn't combo with much of... Well, no, purple chest does combo with something, and that's going back into Eastern, which is slower.
Yeah.
So putting that off for last, there's a real logic to it.
Alright. We're coming back in GT, which will give us the big key of Turtle Rock here, which is good for Professor Renderer, because...
Also the myths, which don't... From what we've seen on Vix's side... Well, the myths lead to another sword, but that seems to be it.
Yeah. So far. But I don't think there's much left that we could do with the myths.
I think we've actually seen all the myths checks. Now, obviously, if you get the flute as well, the myths are a very convenient item because they let you just jump right into the Mire region, as demonstrated.
It's great, like, every time we talk about some stuff, there's an example right there. Very convenient.
This was Mimic Cave,
okay.
right?
No, this is, yeah. Which we can do with the hammer.
This is right next to Castle Tower, if memory serves. I wonder if Vix is planning to go up Castle Tower right after Mimic Cave. And there's the fourth sword. So that's going to make the well very disappointing. But like, I can't blame Vix at all if his decision is to do Castle Tower. With what Vix knows, it's super sensible. We just know that it's only going to be a gold sword.
Yeah. And yeah, he's going in. So, makes sense for him. 4 items. At this point, when you have like scraps and a few checks. Like, he checks he has checked most of the entrances in the game. So for him, I guess there's like going back for Beatrius, going back for Spike Cave, going back in Eastern, the Ped. There's not... Why not just go do 4 chests?
Well, even more, it's 5 chests actually.
Yeah.
Taking a road less traveled in this dark maze. Always good to check if there's anything in the north part of the maze. There still wasn't anything up there. Yeah, Render just got his TR big key, his mitts. Gonna grab his cape. The cape, of course, won't do anything for him, but he'll have it. And then what does Render do from here? Presumably kill Trinex.
Yeah, that would be the... If we follow what he's been doing, like... when he got the hammer, went straight to ice. And he's very near... he's not very far from the TR big chest entrance, which is at the bumper cave, so... With the mitts here, it's super easy.
The other play that, of course, Render might very well make is going into Swamp Palace, which is very necessary, but we know will also not give him any of the progression he seeks.
Yeah.
And to summarize in chat what we know we haven't seen, we have not seen Spike Cave, we have not seen the purple chest. Those are the two biggest ticket items between both runners. The other spots I'm really looking at are the Eastern Big Chest and Armos Knight's Drop.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, for anyone who's a fan of it, we have the pedestal.
Don't forget that, yes, we Renderer got the green pendant, but still hasn't claimed it.
Oh, that's an awkward situation, too, because... Like, if Renderer turns in that green pendant, like, 15 minutes after killing Vitreous, it feels so bad, but with what we know, that would be an enormous advantage even still.
Yeah. But for him, it wouldn't have been so bad because he still didn't. He was not in go mode finding it. Like, he still had to find the big key of Third Rock. So in the grainer scheme of things, it's not. He wouldn't have lost too much time. But now I hope he's gonna go after this because he's right next to it.
Yeah, and Vix kind of gave, with a reasonable play, but nonetheless gave Render a chance to make up some time with Aga 1 here. But after Aga 1's done, Vix is going to be down to little, but just clearing up the spots that we haven't seen from either player, and one of them must be the pod big key. So I think Render's kind of running out of time.
Yeah, and he's going into Swamp because the dream for him would have been to find the big key before Swamp. Then you can just go kill the boss, save all the time that you open and had to spend looking at the left side.
And of course, it is worth noting that this does take another out off the list for Renderer, which was the Swamp Big Chest.
Yeah.
I don't think it was very likely Renderer was going to route in a way that allowed him to come in here with the Swamp Big Key, but it was still on the table.
Yeah, I do agree.
It's also going to feel really bad to full clear Swamp here, come out, and then find Hype Cave with a Tempered Sword right there.
Yeah, you could check the entrance for sure before entering the dungeon, but I mean, the dungeon... Yeah, but you don't know. You don't know. It's easy to say when you know, but when you don't know. This is Swamp, and this is a lot of items. We have the privilege of the Overseer. And okay, big, we're gonna find the Tempered Sword here, which will not help.
Oh no, this is the golden sword that Vix is getting.
Oh yeah. He's get them all. Alright, what next? I'm feeling Eastern with the flute. I don't know.
Man, poor. Don't you just feel unbalanced swinging a gold sword with one hand, your left hand because you're Link, of course, and just having no shield in that other hand?
Yeah, it's a tragedy. Why? Like, I'm sad, but it's his choice. For those who don't know, the shield puts a little bit extra sprite on the screen, so technically if you don't use the shield, you can save a little bit of time on your lag at the end of the game. But alright, we're going back into Mire for the two items.
That might be GG actually. Because it's not that this is necessarily the right play, but this was, I believe, Renderer's last out, assuming no large mistakes from either player.
Yep. After that, that was the only thing that Professor Render has done that has not been done already by Vix, which he is ahead. He has more crystal, he has more progression, and more stuff done. So I guess after that, unless like Professor Renderer like decides to go strictly to the good places after this, I think Vix is in a very, 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 very good spot right now.
Also, let's just remember when Renderer fought Vitreous, he had a Master Sword. It was a little bit of a clumsy fight. Had to drink a potion.
That's gonna be.
Vix has the cape, the boots, and the gold sword. If Vix is aware of that combination of items, don't blink. You'll miss this boss fight.
Yeah, it's gonna be quick. And it's gonna be such a heartbreak too if because I would suppose that with what he has left, Vixryder is gonna check the green pendant right after, and if it's the big key, it's gonna be a bit like unfortunate for Professor Renderer, which could have gotten that big key before doing all the swamp and stuff. So he would have made the right.
Overworld Spike Cave was.
Yes, I have it on my map. It's at the mountain. It's like the hookshot. No, I don't know what's this cave in the light world. Okay, so it's the cave next to hookshot cave in the light world.
The top of Paradox Cave.
Oh yeah.
It's a entrance you actually go through in an NMG route, but it's
you came out of it. You don't go in, so.
Yeah, that is true. You only use it as an exit. You don't go the other way. But yeah, that's gonna be a little inconvenient for Vix to work to, because the most natural route for Vix here is you turn in the green pendant, then you go pick up purple chest, you turn that in, then you clear Eastern, then you pull the pedestal, and then that leaves Spike Cave as your last location, which it doesn't feel great pulling pedestal before checking Spike Cave, but it feels like what you almost have to do at this point, right?
Yeah. Oh, I do agree, but at least he has the flute and the mirror, so he can go like kind of quickly to Spike Cave. But it's just at this point there's no like, maybe you wait a little bit, because what if you find the book at some point and you could like technically make the book at the same time as Spike Cave.
I would leave Spike Cave for last location unless one of the intermediate locations gives book. And then book would instantly become one of the most appealing things to follow up, because the two monoliths are, percentage-wise, would be a pretty large chunk of what you have left.
Yeah. Okay, I like this though here. Purple chest into Eastern. Seems like you could do two things at the same time.
Yeah, I probably would have done purple chest into Eastern before Meyer, but you can justify both trains.
And Renderer gets his 5th crystal, and he still has to do Turtle Rock and Pod. Also, have we ever checked the hammer picks?
We came out of the hammer pegs from a connector, I believe.
Okay.
I also see Vix is going to check this from the Dark World. This is why Vix did the things in the order he did. So the logic here is that it's reasonably likely Book could show up before Pod Big Key, because Book has to be somewhere, and there's very few locations left in the entire game. If Book shows up either in Purple Chest or in Eastern, Vix will have a portal and can just check the Bombos monolith right away here.
Yeah, I like this.
Even if Book's on pedestal, actually it works, because you flute to 3, you check the pedestal, your mirror portal will still be here.
Yeah, the portal will stay until we do a save and quit. Well, we've done Aga, right? So, yeah, save and quit. But if we don't save and quit, no need to worry about it. Renderer will activate his flute.
Yeah, and I would assume Renderer's next play is just going to be taking care of Turtle Rock. It almost has to be. Though, wait, Renderer didn't go into Hype Cave after clearing Swamp Palace,
Nope.
and thus did not find the Tempered Sword.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Sometimes you forget you have stuff when you don't have the mitts for so long, but now he's using the mitts, of course, but...
I understand. I understand just thinking that everything you need is kind of in front of you and the entrances you've already found. And with what we know it is, it's just... The Tempered Sword would sure be nice.
But he has 2 chances to find the Tempered Sword, and at some point, I guess he will. He has the hammer. For him, he just did. He just did Swamp, which was a big hammer check. So I wouldn't be surprised if he starts doing some hammer checks, and maybe. Okay, so he's gonna go do the crystal.
Okay, I don't agree with that decision. He got the Turtle Rock big chest and then just left. He presumably wants to go from the laser bridge entrance, but if you're already at the big chest, it's not that much further to just go to the boss from there.
Yeah, I don't
It's
remember...
actually a thing that comes up a lot in Crosskeys, is knowing when it's worth it to go to the laser bridge and when it's worth it to just run through the dungeon.
Especially when you're in one item go mode and you need to do your crystals anyway.
So, Eastern was barren.
Yeah, but now the pedestal is openable. This is very, like, this is not a runner's dream seed.
I mean, when you're blind pulling the pedestal saying it's either here or Spike Cave, there's literally nothing left. At 2 hours, 50 minutes, 53 seconds, you're concerned.
Yeah. This really is like a nightmare. But it's a nightmare we
get.
get.
The fact that we're going to have like a 210 spot check and we're still not going to have silver arrows.
Yeah, they're probably somewhere. I don't know. Probably here on the pad. I don't know. I'm fairly certain it's gonna be not here anymore because it's gotta be a last location. Yeah, oh, boomerang.
We hadn't found either boomerang yet. That's such a critical piece of information we get. We also don't have the ether medallion, so we can't open the Mire entrance. I don't know what's in the Mire entrance. Could it be a cave? We've seen every multiple item cave, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we've seen everything at this point. I'm not sure what's remaining. In terms of like a cave that gives an item, I think we've seen them all.
Yeah, we don't have Thieves Town Small Key or Ice Big Key yet. It's likely there's a long linear sequence that the logic expects, and the runners are just praying that the pod Big Key is early in it, not late in it.
Yeah, because we could go back in Thieves Town, we can go back in Ice. There's the pod Big Key would open 2 items, so it could be that the Ice is after pod and Logics, which would be great, like you're saying.
Yeah, and of course Thieves Small will give us Thieves Big Chest. Desert Small is just an intermediate step we could have to make.
But there's something here. From all, I don't think there's nothing else left that the Spike Cave.
Yeah, as to my knowledge, this is last location for Vix. Now, I don't keep as careful track when I'm calming as opposed to playing, but this has got to be something, and it's a big key to pod. Okay.
All right, let's go.
So.
It must
I'm
open
gonna be
something
honest,
else.
If I were Vix and I last location that pod Big Key there, I would be in panic mode.
Yeah.
I would be certain the dot done was coming any second. We know that's hard GG. Vix is uncatchable here.
Yeah, because that's something you could have done like after ice. Right? Go to ice mirror, do the spike cave. It's right there. But
yeah, both could have done that actually. Yeah. And I think if either had, that would have been an easy win. Oh man, and you're just thinking too, if you're Vix, like you don't feel bad about killing Moth, but you sure feel bad about the other 2 pendants you did for nothing.
Yeah. But that's random, and sometimes you think you're way behind because you you forget this place and last location did, but then the opponent is doing the same thing. So yeah.
Yeah, and all the rest of the seed is clearly a long, mostly linear sequence, because we'll either get another interesting item from killing Helmasaur King, or it'll be in the pod big chest, in which case we won't know. They both could be interesting items, honestly. We have to find a book for 2 items, a desert small for 2 items, an ice big for that last thing, a thief small for a thing. They're an intertangled web of nonsense that we might get one little piece of information about it if Helmasaur King drops something interesting. Vix obviously hopes Helmasaur King drops the silvers, but that doesn't seem too likely.
Yeah. I feel Renderer is not going to be that far behind. Look at that. He's going to the mountain. And... oh, no. Okay, I said nothing. I thought maybe use that portal to go to the top of the mountain and go straight to his cave, but he's not doing it. Laser bridge. So he's gonna get his 6th crystal. Meanwhile, Helmasaur is the last boss of today. We've seen all the bosses. Even the Agas. Even the
Ball and Chain Trooper.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last seed I did that did not encounter the Ball and Chain Trooper, but you can avoid him. Oh, it's Ether. So if you want all the rest of the items in the seed, well, I don't know. There might be an item cave in the Mire entrance. There might be an item cave in the GT entrance.
But there's also the big chest of pod we never saw.
Yeah, but the big chest of pod is certainly the most likely place to go to find the route to everything else, which inevitably would include your silver arrows. But I suspect Vix is going to be able to handle Silverless Ganon and is going to involve what could easily be another 15 minutes of hunting for all the rest of the stuff.
Especially like on a red mail with 18 hearts.
Half magic cape. At least 1 blue potion. Yeah, that's not the most difficult fight.
He definitely wants to do a sub 3. So he's not gonna go for the rest, and we're gonna have the pool, the check pool, fed check on renderer, which won't pay. But
to answer the chat question, yes, bombs break Helmasaur King's mask, but hammer is much easier, and given that you're not waiting on bomb timers, usually faster. There's ways to use bombs to save time, but you mostly just want to use the hammer, and you have to have it to get to the king in the first place.
I think the bomb strats is more seen like if you're playing Randomizer, and like it's at the top of Ganon's Tower or Era top, where it's like kind of hard to hit him with the hammer. Now you can do the bombs, but otherwise when you're in a pod, you always have the hammer anyway, because you need to have the... Oh.
Well, there goes sub 3 down the pit.
Yeah.
I would also like to point out the silver arrows were in Swamp Palace, so the Swamp Big Key blocks the silver arrows, wherever that is.
It's alright.
Yeah, I will say the Bomb Helmasaur King, if you play the door randomizer, it comes up a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, because in door rando you could get access to the Helmasaur without the hammer.
Yeah, in fact, it's very common. Like, Helmasaur King with 3 hearts bombs and like a fighter sword, nothing else is... I've had to do that a couple of times.
Here we go for the third phase. Oh no, we saw the fire shield disrespect. Now it's been disrespected twice.
I wonder where the mirror shield is, because we only saw 2 shields, right?
Yeah, well, it's one of those things that is gonna be probably in the last few locations, like red boomerang, mirror shield. Is there a key of Thieves Town? Big key of there's. I presume we'll see like the menu of Vix is gonna be like in the high two. It's gonna be in the 200s or something like it. He's got almost everything.
Yeah, and remember to add 2 to his count because he didn't pick up either of those precious shields.
Yeah.
Also, he didn't like bonk torches for things like a piece of heart or 20 rupees, and you know, there's a lot of junk you end up not grabbing throughout a seed that makes your count artificially lower than your real check total.
And Renderer is on his way to his go mode, so he will probably get the go mode before the GG from, which is always good. Like if you're in go mode while your opponent finishes, then it's not that far away.
Yeah, pretty shaky Ganon fight there from Vix, but gets through it, and that will be the end.
Yeah. GG to Vixryder, who gets his second win of the tournament. And we're gonna see. He's gonna join us in a little bit. So maybe we'll have both runners. Because for Renderer, there's nothing much. He's gonna go get Pod and then kill Ganon. So all in all, it's not gonna be super. There would have been a.
It's going to be about a 5-minute win for Vix is what I think it's going to work out to, assuming Renderer has a clean Ganon fight.
Yeah. So like if you think about it, 5 minutes difference on a 3-hour race, that's not a lot. So
yeah, and there definitely was a lot of back and forth overall. I really felt like Renderer had a much better early game than Vix.
Yeah, if you just think the boots.
Vix, just in general, I think was a lot more efficient in the mid game, and really the distinct turning point had to be the hammer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was a lot of opportunities for Professor Renderer to go in Mire, and then he chose all the time to do something else before, and at some point, if you put it out too much behind, the hammer will do a big difference, and because like yes, efficiency is something that will make you gain time.
Yeah, though I would say that like Vix was generally, I think, clearing just a little faster in the mid game in general. not like any one particular, this huge routing mistake cost a ton of minutes, but just a little more efficient here, a little more efficient there. And over the course of the long slog for Hammer for both of them, it wasn't just the decision to go to Meyer a little earlier among options. That was part of it, but it was also just being a little more efficient.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do agree. Just like the Vitreous fight took a little bit longer for Renderer. The also Cold Stare fight was a little bit dicier for him. And here we go. We've got a dead Elmazor, 7th crystal.
And the pyramid is pretty close to the pod's location. That's one of the nice things about this seed. There were a few things that were a little less nice.
Yeah, there was not a lot of nice thing in it, but I mean, the Moon Pearl, I think, was not that trolly. I could have seen it very early, so...
I mean, this is definitely a seed that... There were different approaches to this seed that would have gone a lot faster. Like, obviously, both of them were rather slow to the Moon Pearl, Vix especially. And there was a route to the seed that got the Moon Pearl very fast.
Yeah.
And if either of them had gone to Meyer very quickly upon finding the hook shot, or even the boots, I mean, that potentially, it would have been a completely different seed, you know?
Yeah, and just getting the big key after ice would have been the big play. That if you do it, then you could save a lot of time. Like, I think that's probably like 15 to 20 minutes easily for both of them. All the things that he did, like the pedestal, the Eastern,
yeah, both of them fading Spike Cave to like near literal. In Vix's case, it was literal. That was pretty time costing. But we are joined by Vix. GG, congratulations on the win.
Yeah, GG, thank you. So Spike Cave is a place that exists. That I just completely forgot about.
Yeah, that was, as far as we could tell, your literal last location. Is that as far as you can tell the literal last location?
Yeah, it was. And it was in the corner of the map that I looked at it and I saw blue, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's a connector or something, and didn't actually read what I labeled it as.
Yeah. When you figure it out, did you panic a little bit?
A little bit's a bit of an understatement. I panicked a lot.
Oh, after blind pull ped and you get nothing, that's... I mean, it's the ultimate feels bad.
Because
at last location, blind pull ped for nothing.
Yeah, and as I was pulling ped, I looked at my tracker and I'm like, oh no, I left something important there. I was just really glad it wasn't another key, because I didn't feel like going on any other fetch quests.
Yeah. Oh, it so easily could have been too. You guys never found the Thieves small key for that big chest, the Swamp big key, which we now know led to Silvers, the Desert small key. The book, of course, would have given you a couple checks. There was a lot of nonsense that you guys never had to disentangle this seed on the back end.
Yeah, thankfully. But I mean, overall, I think I'm actually pretty happy with how I played, execution-wise. Routing-wise, left a little something to be desired, but you know, for a first time on Restream, not too bad.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
for sure.
You clearly had put in a good chunk of the practice on the execution. A lot of, you know, the sort of tricks like Icebreaker, Diver Down, pretty clean. Your boss fights were mostly good. Ganon maybe less than the rest, but you had to fight every boss, so I guess that was probably going to be rough.
Ganon was 100% panic. And when I saw him stop there, I thought I moved far enough up to get away from the bat, and I think it just clipped me.
Yeah, I could definitely understand the panic there, because, I mean, you last locationed, and what was your last location was far from the slowest remaining location. And you had to be thinking the whole time, man, why did I do this after Ice Palace?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was like. like I said, it's something I forgot. I saw blue, thought it was a connector, didn't actually read that it said spike.
Yeah, and you already had to be a little worried in the seed just because of how late you got the Moon Pearl as it worked out. When it wasn't in that bad of a location, just kind of your routing naturally led you away from it for a long time.
Yeah, I have no idea what I did at the start of the seed going to Eastern first like that. I've never done that before, and my brain just kind of shut off when it started and just was kind of on autopilot for the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's one of those plays. It's not necessary. It can work out, but it has downside, and you realize basically the maximum downside of it.
Yeah, like I said, it's something that I don't normally do. Again, I don't know why my brain just shut off for the first 15 minutes and said, well, goodbye, you're on your own. Figure it out.
And we are joined by Professor Renderer. Congratulations on the finish. I'm going to guess you don't feel lovely about the seed. It was an adventure.
I don't. It didn't help that I delayed my torch, my lamp light to fail torch glitch. That it was just the nerves that got to me because it was like, well, for one thing, for all intents and purposes, we probably just I would imagine both of us had last location the entire game because
it's a little interesting in that regard because there was a bit of back and forth to seed. Now that you're both here, I guess I can give you both sort of the play-by-play, not the super long version of sort of where the critical things were. I don't feel either of you got the Moon Pearl that early, but the Mirror to Moon Pearl sequence was much faster for you, Renderer, than for Vix, and that was a pretty big deal. It gave you a pretty distinct early lead. In the mid-game, I think Vix was a little more efficient, but the big fork was Renderer gets the boots much faster, but Vix gets the hook shot. It was boots versus hook shot for a long time. And sort of the point where it became clear Vix was going to pull ahead was the Hammer and Mire, which you both faded Mire for a very, very long time, but Renderer, I think, last location, the Hammer and Mire, whereas Vix had at least a little left. And then the pod big key reared its ugly head, and that was what that was.
Yeah, I was very like, I shouldn't have put off the mountain for as long as I did. It was like the one thing that has kept me from like getting a better edge there, because once I saw the hammer, I was like, yeah, I lost this. There was no way I was going to win this. I was so I felt so dejected to seeing that hammer in the fire locked room, fire locked room rather. It didn't help too that I think there was another piece of progression there.
Yeah, the
Swamp Small.
The Swamp Small, yeah. Well. Yeah, that's what it was. That was like, honestly, that part was like, yeah, both Hammer and Swamp Small being there was like, I felt like I lost that. But then by the time I pull up the race room, because I didn't see Vixryder finish, I'm like, wait, what's he missing? I don't know what's going on. I pull up the race room again after I get the pod big key, and I saw Vix didn't finish. At least from what I saw, it was like delayed. I thought that would have been, oh, it's close. Run. And it was. It's by 8 minutes. I'm not upset about the loss by 8 minutes. I'm not. It ended up being ridiculously close.
Yeah, Ganon was exploding as you were opening the chest with the pod big key from our perspective.
Oh, so it must have been the delay from what Live Split race time saw, as opposed to what I saw. From what you guys saw. So that would have been, if I had known that was the case, I would have forfeited out early, because that to me would have been like, yeah, he's done. I'm just gonna call it. I was so I felt really bad. Like I had this really bad thing where it's like, you know, it because of that pod and swamp small, or that not swamp small, the hammer and swamp small just being where it was. It was just like I was not feeling all that happy.
So would Tilt explain the because Vix has already confessed to just having forgotten about Spike Cave, misreading his tracker. After you cleared ice, you had the same opportunity. You could have mirrored and just gone into Spike Cave, and you would have won the race for sure if you did that.
Oh, right. I didn't think about that. I didn't think about that. I didn't even. Oh, I forgot they were in the same. They were like in the same kind of spot. I didn't think about that.
I know for like myself, and this is a problem I've had. I've only been playing Crosskeys for 2 months, but I've been doing this for almost a year, and it's a problem I have where I have like this one-track mind. Okay, you have dungeons to do. Go do dungeons. And that just Spike Cave didn't even come across my mind as soon as I finished ice. I'm like, okay, I got the ice rod, I got the Turtle Rock big, let's go beat Turtle Rock and then go from there.
I would say there was another dynamic that didn't end up affecting the outcome too much, but it could have if the items were in different places. I noticed Vix was very aggressively chasing entrances basically to the end, whereas Render kind of, you know, by the time the Mitch showed up, didn't seem very worried about it. Hype Cave was, from Render's perspective, unfound at the end of the game. It was in the Vanilla Ice Palace entrance, which was right next to where Swamp was. It had a sword and nothing else, is what it had.
Yeah, I knew I had one more 5 chest cave to go, and looking for one item, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna prioritize that before I go back into Pendant Dungeons.
From a viewership perspective, it was actually a somewhat significant moment when you found that sword there, because at the time, that was your master sword. We knew there was a sword behind Aga 1. We didn't know if you were going to be able to find the pod big key easily and skip Aga 1. The answer ended up being no, but we didn't know that.
Yeah. I love tower climb with fighter sword. Oh, sorry, Render. Go ahead.
Yeah, you go.
But yeah, I love doing the fighter sword, or the tower climb with the fighter sword. As I went in there and I'm like, okay, I know I have to do it. Might as well just get it all out of the way now, rather than wait. And we'll go from there and see what we can find.
For me, was that I saw a Castle Tower key and I'm like, when am I going to go back to Castle Tower? Because I was kind of playing on this gamble where it's like, I think this has to be the pivotal moment for this for me. If I can find at least something in there, that would give me the edge. I get a Master Sword up there. It was like, okay, thank you. It was like, great. I was pretty happy about seeing that. Yeah, I just think now that AA mentioned that to me, that almost felt like I think that was like, that had to have been both a throw, because I should have went back into Spike after I got the hammer. Or no, I didn't have the hammer at the time. I cleared it. Right. My mind's messed up.
Yeah, you both made basically the same mistake of, after you beat Ice Palace for a crystal, which you had to go back to the Ice Palace, where Ice Palace was, with the hammer to beat it, just the nature of ice. If you mirrored there, you were literally right next door to Spike Cave, because Ice Palace was in the Hookshot Cave entrance, Spike Cave was in Paradox Top. You both had the mirror the whole time, and mirror was required for Pearl anyway, so of course you did.
Yeah, and that honestly felt like a throw. Now that you mention it, it definitely felt like a throw for me.
But the fact is, you both ultimately made exactly that same mistake, so
right.
I don't know if that makes you feel better or worse about it, but it was a big sort of opportunity, I guess, on the table for both of you that neither of you ended up taking.
Right.
Did you blind pull Ped?
I did. It was like the moment where it's like, this has to be the pivotal moment. That has to be the moment that could possibly turn this around. And if this doesn't have anything, it's pretty much over.
Yeah, I felt the same way, because like I was saying earlier, as the cutscene was playing, I looked at my tracker and said, oh crap, there's Spike Cave back up on the mountain. I better hightail it back up there.
Oh, that explains it. Yeah, I did more checks than you.
On Vix's side, Pedestal was his second to last location, which as he was walking to Pedestal, I guess he believed was his last location. And as he was double checking to see if he was right about that, learned about the other one. But the Pedestal, from our perspective, was a win route for Vix in the late game, just because we knew there weren't a lot of outs for you, Render, as you got really late. You know, the delay of the hammer and a couple other things in the mid game. Like, beelining something like Spike Cave and Vix fading it was an out. The green pendant was an out for quite a while, but that didn't work out. I was thinking Ice Big Chest, and then you went into Ice, and then that out disappeared. You know, you were looking at things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess to be fair, since both of us did make the same play, yeah, I mean, we both pretty much, I mean, we traded blows all the way through, and that's fine. I could have, honestly, I don't know. I don't feel entirely upset that I've lost by 8 minutes. Like, since if we were pretty much at that point, like step first, like in complete lockstep, like for most of this, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, either way, it was definitely an interesting run. There was a real back and forth dynamic for quite a bit of it. Just Vix ended up kind of pulling ahead with some of the late game stuff, and that was the race. And I think we're about ready to wrap it up, unless either of you two have anything left to add.
Oh, thank you guys for picking this up. Like I said, this is the second time I've been on Restream, and it definitely made me jump outside my comfort zone, only doing Crosskeys for like 2 months, and then getting put in the spotlight. So I do want to thank you guys for setting this all up, and thank you to Ampharos and Olive for commentating as well.
I mean, this was like my first time, my first and probably my only time I've been on Restream. But yeah, I think honestly, first of all, thanks for. I mean, again, just kind of echo what you said. Thanks for picking it up. I'm glad that. I hope you guys really liked the stuff that I put up. I put up my sprites and my MSU pack and all of that. I'm honestly, I'm happy that I actually have something I could say. I've made this, and I'm playing this for everyone else to show, hey, I made this stuff. I made the sprite. I made the MSU pack. Yeah. I mean, yeah, and shout out to Ampharos and Scary Olive for commenting this one, and thanks for ZSR for picking this up, and yeah, I don't know if I'll continue from here on out. I don't know. School's starting up in about a week from now. College is starting up, or at least it's another fall semester for me. I don't know if I'll want to continue or focus on studies.
Well, last week is the last week of Swiss, if you weren't aware of that.
Right, yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
We'll figure it out. There's no worry and no rush. And yeah, thanks to everybody that watched, and the streamer. Thanks to Hey and players, and also Tofile and Jinxie Girl that did the tracking. See you next time.